Here are 10 mysterious space anomalies that we can't explain. Number 10 are black holes. Though scientists have been studying black holes for a long time, there are still more questions than answers when it comes to what we know about these intense and sometimes scary space anomalies. A black hole is an invisible space with so much pull that even light can't escape being drawn in. The only reason that we know that they're there is because of the reaction that they have to other things in space. Because we can't see them, it's difficult to determine what exactly they are, or for that matter, what happens to everything that gets sucked into them. One of the most popular current standing theories is that everything inside a black hole gets compressed with mind-boggling force. In fact, it's believed that a black hole the size of an atom can actually have the mass of a mountain, just one of many unsolved questions of the universe. Number 9 are Saturn's rings. When you picture the gas giant that is Saturn, there's really no way to not visualize the mammoth colorful rings surrounding it. And while science has determined that the rings that you're picturing are made up almost entirely of ice, with trace elements of rocky material, what hasn't been determined yet is how they formed or why they're made of ice, and for that matter, how they managed to remain so incredibly flat. There are also some gaps between the rings that have no reason to be there. While some features of the rings suggest that they were formed when the planet formed an estimated 4.4 billion years ago, other properties suggest that they're actually more of a modern development. It's very possible that Saturn might just be the most mysterious planet in our solar system. Number 8 is Tabby's star. Situated nearly 1,500 light years from us is a star called Tabby's star. It's a bit larger and definitely hotter than our sun, which is admittedly not an anomaly. However, what is that for some reason, its light has been spotty, dimming as much as 22% since its discovery. The phenomenon has brought forth a number of theories. Some believe that there are a number of large comets or dust orbiting the star, while some actually think that there could be an alien race using advanced technology to siphon energy from it. Whatever the reason, the truth continues to elude humanity, which means anything could be out there. Number 7 is Jupiter's red spot. The most iconic symbol that tells you that you're looking at Jupiter, the 5th planet from our sun, is the giant red spot whirling about on it. Any person with the love of space can tell you that you're actually seeing a colossal hurricane-like storm that's the size of 3 Earths. But if you ask an astronomer why the spot is red at all, they can only speculate, as nobody actually knows. The red spot storm has been raging for at least 400 years. It's higher up than any of the clouds surrounding it and is actually cooler in temperature, not warmer. Yet still, the only variation in color is a change in hue that occurs on occasion from the recognizable bright red to a rosy pink. On top of all of this, we still don't know even why the storm is happening at all. Number 6 are cataclysmic variables. Cataclysmic variables, or CVs, are binary star systems, meaning that there are 2 suns instead of 1. Having 2 is actually not that rare, as over 50% of the systems discovered have more than 1 star. But for CVs, while one sun has become a white dwarf, which our own sun will do in about 4.5 billion years, exhausting its nuclear fuel and becoming extremely dense, its companion sits in such close proximity to it that the white dwarf literally drains all of its gas. Now, what doesn't make sense here is that if the primary star has become a white dwarf, it must have been a red giant previously, meaning the partner star, being as close as it is, must have been somehow inside of it. This is absolutely unexplainable and to this day boggles many scientists' minds. Number 5 is dark matter. According to the standard model of cosmology, the universe is made up of only 4.9% matter. 68.3% is made up of dark energy, which we'll get to in a moment. But what about the remaining almost 27%? That is where the dark matter theory comes in. As the name suggests, dark matter is dark, as in it cannot be seen. Shockingly, scientists actually know more about what it is not than what it is. It doesn't interact with or emit electromagnetic radiation, and we know that it can't be matter, as if it was, it would contain particles called baryons, which we'd be able to detect it through reflected light. Still, it exists, and it's out there affecting every galaxy's mass and rotation rate. We simply have no idea what it is. Number 4 is the Great Attractor. Our galaxy shouldn't actually be moving as fast as it is, unless of course it's being drawn to something. Scientists believe that that something is the Great Attractor, a gravitational anomaly located at the center of the Laniakea supercluster that could be thousands of times more massive than our own galaxy. Numerous tests trying to determine both if the Great Attractor exists and, if so, what it is have been conducted, and though we still have no answers either for or against its existence, a large number of new galaxies we weren't able to see before have now been discovered. The odds are extremely good it won't be something that we or our near future ancestors will have to worry about. But just think about this for a second. We have no idea what we're headed for, but whatever it is most likely not good. Number 3 is the cosmic void. One of the most bizarre things out there in space is actually a severe lack of things. The Great Void is a colossal area of space with very few galaxies. Located within the constellation Canes Venatici, this black spot in the sky is roughly between 1 billion and 1.3 billion light years in diameter. And yet, it's only the second biggest void out there. A 1.8 billion light year wide supervoid exists in a place that is, for a reason that scientists cannot determine, colder than it should be. The voids have around 20% less matter than they should, based on the galaxies that surround them. There's one theory that suggests that shortly after the Big Bang, quantum fluctuations helped redirect matter as the universe expanded, so the voids could be getting even bigger as time goes on. Whatever theory you choose for this mystery, it still remains completely unknown. Number 2 is Planet X. While it hasn't been discovered yet, many experts claim the only explanation for the odd orbital behaviors of objects spotted far beyond Neptune, the farthest planet from our sun in the solar system, is the existence of a planet that, for one reason or another, we've never seen before. Also known as Planet 9, Planet X won't have an official name until someone can prove without a shadow of a doubt that it's actually there. Researchers studying the Kuiper Belt, a ring-shaped group of dwarf planets, frozen gases, and other space debris, reported that items had a peculiar orbit, which could be explained by the existence of a planet roughly the size of Uranus, but so far from us that it would take between 10,000 and 20,000 years for it to orbit our sun. NASA's hopeful that we'll be able to prove its existence in our lifetime. And number 1 is dark energy. Though in a humorous way, it kind of sounds like a power that a supervillain would want to harness. Dark energy is actually the stuff that makes up nearly 68% of the universe. The top scientists at NASA cannot tell you exactly what dark energy even is. Theoretically speaking, it's a repulsive force that is accelerating the expansion of the universe by counteracting the gravity that would otherwise be slowing it down or even reversing it. There is a theory that there may be a type of energy fluid out there somewhere filling space. Or perhaps Einstein's theory of gravity should include a cosmological constant, or maybe it's wrong altogether. Whatever the real answer is for now, it's been given the label of dark energy until we know something for sure. Number 10 are Apollo aliens. The Apollo space program ran from 1960 until December 19, 1972, when the final mission, Apollo 17, ended. After that, manned missions to the moon ceased. The official reasons for this was that America had essentially won the space race against the Soviet Union, and that it was inordinately expensive, and that the American public would no longer be interested in going to the moon. However, some believe that the reason Apollo 17 was the final time that man stepped foot on the moon was because we encountered something else out there. Something that warned us to never go back. Various theories have been given as to why this happened, but the creepiest are that it could have been aliens or even cosmic intelligence which warned us to leave them alone. Number 9 are ancient Mars civilizations. Most of the theories surrounding Mars suggest that there was once an intelligent civilization on the planet, and for some reason it was wiped out. Richard Hoagland is the most famous proponent of this theory, and believes that there are telltale signs on the Martian surface suggesting that an alien species once lived there. These include photographs from both Mars landers and orbiting satellites. Hoagland and others claim that tantalizing images of Martian pyramids, monoliths, and even statues have been found. They even suggest that the existence of a Martian civilization is being kept from the public for an unknown reason. Did an ancient civilization once exist? And if they did disappear, what could that mean for life on Earth? Number 8 is Stanley Kubrick and the moon landings. One of the strangest space conspiracy theories is that film director Stanley Kubrick faked the moon landings. Allegedly, Kubrick impressed NASA with his 1968 film 2001: A Space Odyssey. NASA then asked Kubrick to stage similar realistic-looking space photography to persuade the American public that the Apollo astronauts had indeed reached the moon. While this may seem outlandish, there are some strange images that are included in Kubrick's 1980 film The Shining, which some believe was a confession of sorts. The character Danny, for example, wears a sweater displaying the Apollo rocket, and the infamous room 237 is said to represent the moon's distance from Earth, 237,000 miles. Could these conspiracy theories be true? Did we in fact land on the moon, or were we lied to for some unknown reason? Number 7 is the Hollow Earth alien theory. The theory that the Earth is hollow has been around for thousands of years. But while the ancient peoples of the world populated this theoretical subterranean world with supernatural entities and even hell itself, a recent theory proposes that an advanced civilization lives inside that hollow cavity. It was in 1818 that the American Army officer John Cleve Sims Jr. proposed that the Earth was hollow, and that at the North Pole there is a large opening allowing investigation of this unexplored frontier. Since then, believers argue that there is evidence for UFOs moving into this opening. These allegedly advanced spacecraft are seen by many as proof that there is an advanced alien species living directly beneath our feet. Number 6 are dead cosmonauts. The Dead Cosmonauts refers to a conspiracy theory about who was the first person in space. The history books record this as Yuri Gagarin in 1961, but some allege that other cosmonauts were sent by the Soviet Union into space before Gagarin. This was allegedly covered up because those cosmonauts died before they could make it home. In fact, there is some evidence to suggest that this conspiracy theory may be true. Documents were leaked in December of 1959 by an alleged high-ranking Czech communist claiming 4 cosmonauts had already died in an attempt to reach space. Other sources do exist, but the most chilling account comes from the Giudicia Cordelia brothers, 2 Italian amateur radio operators who claim to have recorded secret radio transmissions from an unknown cosmonaut in space as he slowly suffocated. Number 5 is the secret moon base. Some conspiracy theorists believe that there is a secret moon base on the dark side of the moon. The moon is tidally locked, which means that we only ever see one side of it from the Earth's surface. So, the theory goes that if you visited the other side of the moon, you'd find a huge secret base somewhere hidden out of view. The owners of that base change depending on which conspiracy theorist you talk to. Some say that it's an alien base, some believe that the Russians live there, or the most bizarre of all, that it's a Nazi hideout. As bizarre as that last one may seem, some believe it because Nazis developed advanced rocket technology in their V-1 and V-2 flying bomb programs, and that they flew off in a giant rocket, escaped Berlin in 1945, and built a base on the far side of the moon. Number 4 is Satellite USA 193. The Satellite USA 193 conspiracy theory has a lot to back it up. USA 193 was launched into orbit in 2006 from Vandenberg Air Force Base. The satellite was owned by the National Reconnaissance Office, and its purpose was listed as classified. Rumors persisted that it was a spy satellite, which in itself isn't that unusual. However, what is strange is that the Air Force used a modified SM-3 missile to obliterate the satellite while in orbit. The official story is that the satellite malfunctioned and had to be destroyed due to hazardous materials on board. However, conspiracy theorists believe that the satellite was destroyed to either stop sensitive information from literally falling into the wrong hands, while others believe that the events were staged to allow the United States to carry out tests on a secret program designed to shoot down nuclear missiles while in orbit. Number 3 is Majestic 12. Majestic 12, or MJ-12 for short, is allegedly the codename for a group of scientists and military experts whose job it was to recover and research recovered alien spacecraft. This group of experts were supposedly assigned this task by President Harry S. Truman himself in 1947, following the rumored Roswell flying saucer crash. Many conspiracy theorists cite the Majestic 12 as evidence that the United States government not only knows about aliens, but has proof that they exist. The first mention of MJ-12 was in a series of alleged government documents discovered in 1984. While skeptics and the FBI claim that they're fake, ufology experts such as Stanton Friedman, a retired nuclear scientist, believe that they may be real. And perhaps most disturbing of all, if they are real, who knows what sort of alien technology the government has recovered. Number 2 is a solar-powered UFO. In March of 2012, a conspiracy theory started that NASA and other space agencies were hiding UFO evidence from the public. This started when a series of images recorded by the Solar Dynamics Observatory showed a strange object next to the sun. In the images, the object appears to be draining material from the sun and then moves off quickly. While some allege that this is an alien spacecraft siphoning off solar material for fuel, NASA scientists claim that the images are the result of a common phenomenon called a solar prominence. The sun sheds some of its material and then moves towards a cold spot known as a filament channel. It's thought that this is due to fluctuations in the magnetic field on the sun's surface. However, conspiracy theorists have a much simpler explanation: aliens. And number 1 is SpaceX isn't real. Elon Musk's SpaceX firm has reinvigorated the space industry, but it's also reinvigorated conspiracy theorists. SpaceX reached new heights by testing its Falcon Heavy rocket in 2018 and sent Elon Musk's old red Tesla Roadster towards the asteroid belt. However, some conspiracy theorists believe that the entire flight was faked and amounted to nothing more than a car advertisement. During the Falcon Heavy flight, a live video feed was sent from Musk's car as it hurled away from the Earth. Some believe that the lack of stars and the way that the light resembles an unnatural light source shows that the footage is fake. Some even believe that it could be CGI. Number 10 are comets. Comets continually orbit around star systems, but these naturally occurring propelled masses of ice and rock are very dangerous. From studying comets in our own star system, we know that they are icy bodies which, when warmed by the rays of our sun, release gas and dust, creating a huge tail behind them. This jet-like process propels these objects around the solar system. But because comets propel themselves while being pulled around by the gravitational forces of the solar system, their orbits are eccentric and not always easily calculated. There are well over 5,000 comets in our solar system, with thousands more potentially out there just flying around. Some of these comets have nuclei measuring up to 100 kilometers. Literally, if one of these ever hit our planet, the energy released would wipe out all of us. There's something to think about while you go to bed tonight. Number 9 are asteroids. Asteroids are rocky objects which orbit a star, and like comets, they can crash into planets causing devastation. For the most part, asteroids tend to be fragments of rock formed during the early stages of a star system. Otherwise, they can be the debris left over from large collisions involving planets or moons, or even the remnants of a larger rock body torn apart by gravitational forces. In some rare cases, they may have even originated from other star systems and were fired into our solar system during a supernova or other high energy event. Through gravitational attraction, asteroids can be put on a crash course with a planet. Oh, but Matt, that would never happen. That's only in the movies. Actually, it's happened to Earth before. And scientists believe that there are so many asteroids out there, it's not a matter of if, but a matter of when this happens again. Where's Bruce Willis when you need him? Number 8 are coronal ejections. Coronal ejections from stars have the potential to cripple technology and even burn off parts of the planet's atmosphere. In case you didn't know, we need that. While they're actually very common, these ejections just need to be the correct strength and trajectory to cause mayhem for anything caught in their path. It's assumed that just like our own sun, all stars produce such events, and so this would be a hazard to every star system in the universe. Coronal ejections usually occur during a sun flare, which is a sudden increase in energy output on the surface of a star. Though some flares do not result in coronal ejections, when they do, the star spews out hot radiated clouds of plasma. When this shockwave of plasma reaches a planet, it can cause geomagnetic storms, which tears electrons from electronic devices and may even expose any present life to cosmic radiation. And I know the comics make that sound cool, like you're gonna turn into Bruce Banner the Hulk, but that's most likely not gonna happen. You're more likely just gonna have like hands growing out your face. Number 7 are interstellar planets. We commonly think of planets as masses of rock or gas which orbit a star, but there are planets out there without a home, and if one of them wandered into a star system, it could be disastrous. Hey, just a planet looking for a home. Oh, what is that, Earth? I'm coming for you. These interstellar planets spin through space without orbiting a star. It's believed this occurs when a planet either flung out of a planetary system by gravitational forces or when a planet forms from debris outside of a stellar region. Some of these planets may even be failed stars, which didn't reach enough mass to ignite. It's possible that an interstellar planet could pass close enough to a star system to be pulled into it. For example, if if a new planet were suddenly mushed into our star system, basically there would just be constant planetary collisions. And it's not like there's just a few of them. It's estimated that there are billions of these worlds out there as we speak, wandering alone through the cosmos. Yeah, that's not good. Do interstellar restraining orders exist? Number 6 are high-velocity stars. High-velocity stars are some of the most dangerous objects in the universe. They move faster than the stars in their local neighborhood, and so they have potential to collide with other star systems. Like an interstellar game of bumper cars, except everyone dies. There are 3 types of high-velocity stars. These are runaway stars, halo stars, and hypervelocity stars. Of these 3, it's hypervelocity stars which are the most dangerous, and also have the coolest name. These stars can have velocities which are so high that they can escape the gravitational pull of an entire galaxy. Interestingly, no one is quite sure how they even form, although some theories suggest that each hypervelocity star previously orbited a second star, which then exploded and accelerated the surviving star to hypervelocity. If a hypervelocity star entered our star system, it could pull planets into its fiery embrace. So romantic. Number 5 is a supernova. A supernova is a devastatingly dangerous space explosion. They occur at the end of a massive star's lifespan when a titanic explosion takes place, creating a light source which can easily outshine most of the stars around it. These events have been recorded in the night sky many times, especially with Kepler's supernova in 1604, visible to the naked eye even though it was 20,000 light years away. When the explosion occurs, the dying star expels much of its matter at 10% the speed of light. This gigantic shockwave has the potential to destroy basically anything in its path. Hey everybody, getting ready to die, you better watch out! Now, while these events are rare, some people believe that dim white dwarf stars could explode in this way, which could happen suddenly with almost no warning. But luckily, no such candidates have been found close to Earth yet. So just saying, you might want to cross your fingers that our interstellar neighborhood is a safe one. Number 4 are rogue black holes. Black holes are among the most fascinating objects in the cosmos, but one theory suggests that their destructive power could be waiting just around the corner. Hey there, I'm a black hole, I'm destructive. Known as rogue black holes, these gigantic objects are capable of strolling into a star system and swallowing it up. Basically like an all-you-can-eat planet buffet. They're produced when a star collapses in on itself, creating a point in space where gravity is so strong even light can't escape from it. What's worse is that they can't be observed directly, and we can only detect them when we see their gravitational influence. While a supermassive black hole can be spotted moving around a distant galaxy, there actually is one that is much closer to home. Known only as the Bullet, this probable rogue black hole is moving against the rotation of our Milky Way galaxy and could destroy any system it encounters. Oh, don't worry, if you haven't lost sleep yet based on our impending doom, we got 3 more to go. Number 3 are gamma rays. Gamma ray bursts are one of the most energetic explosions in the entire universe. If one of them hit Earth, the consequences would be, deadly? They're caused by a rapidly rotating high-mass star collapsing in on itself. This creates a neutron star, quark star, or black hole, and releases a beam of radiation in the process. These bursts contain more energy in just a few seconds than our sun will release across its estimated 10 billion year-long life. If one of these bursts is directed at Earth, it would deplete our ozone and expose us to harmful cosmic radiation. Now the good news is that scientists believe that it is unlikely that an event like this will happen, but some also believe that a gamma ray burst was responsible for the Ordovician extinction around 455 million years ago. In case you don't know what that is, that event wiped out nearly 85% of marine species. So that's bad news for fishermen. Number 2 is galactic cannibalism. No, this isn't aliens eating themselves. Let me explain. Galactic cannibalism is one of the most dangerous and terrifying events in the known universe. Galaxies contain billions of stars and planets, and some may even have supermassive black holes at their center. This creates an immense amount of gravitational pull. When the gravitational attraction of two galaxies takes effect, a collision occurs which rips entire stars and planetary systems out of their orbit. Usually, the larger galaxy absorbs either a section of or the entire smaller galaxy. And scientists predict that this is going to happen in the next 5 years. No, I'm joking. It's actually going to take 4 billion years when our galaxy will collide with the Andromeda galaxy, with a 12% chance that our entire solar system would be ejected from the newly formed galaxy out to wherever. Good thing that by then, Earth won't even be habitable due to our sun expanding. Every cloud has a silver lining, I guess? And number 1 is the Big Rip. Most cosmologists agree that the universe began with a gigantic explosion known as the Big Bang, but some believe that this event will inevitably lead to the end of the universe itself. Known as the Big Rip, this theory states that the universe will eventually literally tear itself apart. The idea is that following the Big Bang, the universe began expanding. This expansion is still accelerating due to an elusive force known as dark energy. Those who support the Big Rip hypothesis believe that this expansion will eventually stretch the universe to an infinite point, causing everything from galaxies to stars, even subatomic particles themselves, to suddenly tear apart. But hopefully this doesn't happen for a very long time, A, because I want to live, and B, I've got a lot of errands to do today. It's just a big list. Number 10 are total eclipses. Now you probably think, oh, we know everything about eclipses, it's pretty straightforward, but believe it or not, they still hold mystery even today. Eclipses occur when the moon moves in front of the sun, obscuring its view. That we know. 1 minute you're going about your business in broad daylight and then suddenly it's nighttime. Well, one mystery that still surrounds the total eclipse is a phenomenon known as shadow bands. Just before the moon covers the sun completely, strange shadowy ripples occur. They move over everything below on Earth in hypnotic patterns like waves from the sea. And there's a huge debate about what exactly these strange patterns are. One theory is that they're caused by turbulence in the atmosphere and that the shadows that we see are simply light bending in the air currents above. Another theory is that shadow bands are supersonic shock waves created by the moon's shadow, but the truth is nobody even really knows what causes them. Personally, I like to call them moon farts. I'm a simple man, I like simple terms. Number 9 is what happened to Venus. The planet Venus is truly mysterious. It's a similar size to Earth and orbits at just the right distance from the sun to have liquid water on its surface. So it should be similar to our planet, but it's not. Venus is one of the most inhospitable places in our solar system. With crushing atmospheric pressure due to its carbon dioxide atmosphere and clouds of sulfuric acid, this is not the sort of place that you want to go on a family vacation. Daddy, can I go swimming? No, son, your skin will melt off. It's believed that Venus was once covered in habitable oceans. So what changed? Well, the truth is, nobody knows. One possible reason is due to its slow spin. A single day on Venus is as long as 243 days here on Earth. Because of this, Venus generates no magnetic field like Earth does, and therefore has far less protection against the sun's heat. But the real question remains, what caused the planet to spin so slowly in the first place? Hey there. Yeah, no, I see you, Earth. I see you. You're moving fast, but I just don't live my life that way. I like to take it slow. Number 8 is there a planet 9? Some astronomers have suggested that the number of planets in our solar system is actually a mystery. We know now that there are many dwarf planets out there such as Pluto, but is there anything bigger? Could there be a full-sized planet waiting to be discovered? Rumors persisted for many years of another planet simply referred to as Planet 9 being out there somewhere. But until recently, the evidence has been contradictory. But just in the last few years, however, more evidence supports supporting the existence of a ninth planet has been discovered. Mathematical models suggest that there may be a large planet out there exerting influence on smaller objects near it. And if it does exist, it could be as much as 4 times the size of Earth. Now, scientists say that there's no chance that such a planet could spin towards us out of the void. But if it does, well, say your prayers because you did. Number 7 is a monolith on Mars. There are several theories that mysterious alien structures exist on the Martian surface. Now, most have been debunked, but that doesn't mean that there aren't still strange things out there. Once in a while, NASA will take a picture of an object in space which fires up the imaginations of everyone. One such object is called the monolith. It was first photographed by the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter as it orbited the planet. The object is rectangular and is about 5 meters wide, standing distinct from its environment. But that is nothing compared to a similar object that was discovered on the Martian moon of Phobos. The Phobos monolith is about 85 meters across and has been described as the size of a building. Now, most people believe that these strange objects are just huge boulders, but when Buzz Aldrin himself asks the question, and I quote, "Who put that there?" it certainly makes you wonder. Number 6 are the blades of Pluto. When the New Horizons spacecraft flew past Pluto in 2015, humanity received its closest ever view of the icy dwarf planet. And some of the resulting images left scientists scratching their heads. Pluto appeared to be a far more mysterious place than previously thought. In some startling photographs, New Horizons observed what looked to be strange gigantic forests of ice on the surface. These huge fields of jagged ice are massive, with individual blades of ice as tall as some skyscrapers. Now, similar structures do in fact exist here on Earth, but they're no bigger than a person. Some have suggested that the jagged ice fields formed because on Pluto, methane jumps between a solid and gas without becoming a liquid when melting. Now, this could result in the bizarre frozen structures, but this has yet to be verified. But until this can be verified, scientists use the technical term chilly ice fields. It's an interesting mystery. Number 5 are the glowing eyes of Ceres. Another fascinating mystery was discovered in 2015. As the Dawn spacecraft approached Ceres, the largest object in the asteroid belt, it photographed a bizarre surface feature. At first, it looked like a single large glowing white spot, but then as the spacecraft drew nearer, scientists observed several others. Of course, much was made of this at the time, with most hoping for some sort of alien explanation. Them spots, these aliens, I told you, the aliens, the spots. While leading theories suggest that the lights are caused by a type of salt-reflecting light, nobody really knows for sure. One possible explanation is that a large impact, probably an asteroid, hit Ceres. In the aftermath, a sort of salty brine bubbled up from beneath the surface. This in turn turned into a solid reflective material, creating the eerie bright spots. But personally, I'm still holding out for aliens. Call me old-fashioned. Number 4 is what is Oumuamua? There are countless objects in our solar system. Planets, minor planets, dwarf planets, comets, asteroids, moons, basically you name it, we've got it. We understand what these objects are, but in 2017, astronomers discovered a mysterious object in our solar system unlike anything they've ever seen before. Named Oumuamua, this strange elongated object was traveling so fast it could only mean one thing, that it was the first object from another solar system entering our own ever discovered. Cigar-shaped reddish in color and probably a piece of metal or rock, Oumuamua came from somewhere vastly different from our own solar system. How it got here, we don't know yet. All we do know is that it took millions of years to get here, and as we speak, it's headed back out of the solar system to another unknown destination. Alien time capsule, get your tin hats, I'm out, that's it. Number 3 is where did the moon come from? The moon isn't just a helpful light in the sky at night, it creates the tides that stabilizes the Earth's spin. Now, we've stepped foot on the lunar surface and sent several probes to investigate our solitary companion, but despite knowing all of this, the moon's origin is still a mystery. No one is sure where it came from. However, the most popular explanation is that a Mars-sized planet smashed into Earth about 4.5 billion years ago. The resulting debris then pulled together, creating the moon that we see today. Other theories claim that the moon was birthed by the Earth itself, splitting apart from it at an early stage, while another popular theory argues that the moon was just passing by at the right time and Earth's gravitational pull held it in place. Whoa, Mr. Moon, you look kind of fun. Orbit me forever. Thank you. Number 2 is what's happening to Saturn's rings. Saturn is famous for the impressive rings which surround it, but something mysterious is happening to them. Saturn's rings are largely comprised of ice and rock orbiting the planet. As Saturn's 62 moons travel close by, the gravitational pull creates huge waves across this material, moving in the direction of the moons, much like our moon does to our oceans. Now, this is to be expected, but there's another mysterious ripple which moves in towards the planet. Something inside Saturn is causing these disturbances, and as of yet, no one knows what it is. One theory is that there's a large stable sphere inside the atmosphere which rotates about once every 7 hours. But as of right now, no one knows what's causing these massive waves, and for that reason, I wouldn't recommend surfing on them. You hear me, Silver Surfer? It's dangerous. And number 1 is there life somewhere else? Probably the biggest and oldest mystery that mankind has ever had about space is whether or not there is life inside or outside of our solar system. The understanding that we have of our solar system, as well as our ability to detect telltale signs of life, have vastly improved. And while there's no definitive evidence yet, there are some tantalizing clues out there to be found. The Curiosity robot on Mars has detected methane anomalies which are yet to be explained. One possible explanation is that the methane is produced by alien bacteria under the surface of the planet. Other prime locations for life include some of the moons of Jupiter and Saturn, which appear to have liquid oceans under their surfaces, some of them perhaps kilometers deep. On Earth, life has evolved to live without sunlight and feed on thermal vents deep in the ocean. So if this is possible here, who knows what lurks under the ice of the distant moons? Number 10 is Galaxy X. Once thought of as purely theoretical, there is now good evidence suggesting that our galaxy, the Milky Way, has a ghostly companion. Often referred to as Galaxy X, it's believed that this galaxy orbits around our own. The reason that we cannot easily detect such a massive object in space is that it's probably made out of dark matter, an elusive substance which is theorized to make up about 25% of the universe. Astronomers believe that they may have found the location of Galaxy X 290,000 light years from our galaxy. It's believed that unusual tidal effects within the Milky Way can be explained by the gravitational effects of Galaxy X. But there's controversy over what exactly is Galaxy X made out of, what's within it, and will we ever truly understand it? Number 9 is the Hercules Corona Borealis Great Wall. The Hercules Corona Borealis Great Wall is bigger than you can possibly imagine, and one of the most mysterious regions in space. Thought to be the largest structure in the universe known by man, this superstructure consists of a sheet-like pattern of galaxies about 10 billion light-years long and 7.2 billion light-years wide. This is equal to 10.7% of the diameter of the entire observable universe. Discovered in 2013, astronomers and physicists are still wrapping their heads around the implications of this structure. It seems to violate Einstein's cosmological principle, which states that the largest structures in the universe should be around 1.2 billion light years in size. The Hercules Corona Borealis Great Wall is 8 times that, and no one is even certain how it's possible that it exists. Number 8 is the CMB Cold Spot. There is a massive region of space which is colder than it should be, and that discovery has created an enduring mystery. Known as the CMB cold spot, this region violates what physicists would expect to see throughout the universe. After the Big Bang, which created the universe, a residue from the unimaginable explosion called the cosmic background radiation was left throughout the cosmos. This can be thought of as an echo of the Big Bang. It should be homogeneous, in other words, the same across the universe, but the CMB cold spot contradicts this and is significantly colder than surrounding areas. Possible explanations for this include it being a hypothesized sparse region of space known as a supervoid. Another could be that it's a bruise in our universe when it collided with another universe at some point in the past. Number 7 are Fermi bubbles. There are 2 huge bubbles of gamma rays billowing out of our galaxy, and so far there's no consensus as to what they are or how they formed. If you imagine the Milky Way as a huge revolving disk of stars known as the galactic plane, one Fermi bubble extends from the center of the galaxy above the galactic plane and the others below it. And they are massive. It's estimated that they measure 23,000 light years in diameter each and contain enough gas to create 2 million stars similar to our sun. Some believe that a huge explosive event occurred at the center of our galaxy up to 9 million years ago. What that event was is up for debate, but some believe that the bubbles were produced by a massive black hole at the center of our galaxy. Number 6 is Lyman alpha blobs. Lyman alpha blobs are gigantic gaseous structures produced by an unknown mechanism. Some of these blobs are hundreds of thousands of light years across and rank among the largest objects in the known universe. The first blob ever discovered was Lab 1 in the year 2000 and has been studied extensively since. One recent development suggests that these blobs are a trick of the light here on Earth. They may appear to be fuzzy and indistinct, but it's possible that they contain several galaxies orbiting each other, producing stars at an unusually high rate. It's thought by some that the Lyman alpha blobs may be the mechanism through which galaxies themselves are formed. We will never know for sure until we have the technology available to study them. Number 5 are green bean galaxies. Green bean galaxies are extraordinarily rare and mysterious. What makes these galaxies so mysterious is the way that they glow. In a normal galaxy, a supermassive black hole tends to sit at its center, causing dust around it to glow. This region covers about 10% of the galaxy, but in green bean galaxies, the entire galaxy glows. One theory is that this is caused by a quasar ionization echo. This simply means that there was a huge short-lived event at the center of the galaxy, which produced the glow for a limited time, perhaps 20,000 to 200,000 years in duration, and the glow we see at this moment is an echo of this. And some argue that these phases may happen again, despite not truly knowing when or how they happen. Number 4 is Tabby's star. Tabby's star is the name given to one of the most perplexing mysteries in recent astronomy. This star is like no other. The amount of light produced by Tabby's star varies on as much as 22%. Actual variable stars do exist, but Tabby's star doesn't fit that profile. It's what's known as an F-type main sequence star and shouldn't behave anything like this. Instead, it appears as though something is orbiting the star and partially obscuring it. Now, this does happen when planets pass between us and a star, but the amount of dimming is what sets Tabby's star apart. So far, no agreed explanation has ever been found, but suggestions include that an orbiting planet recently disintegrating and leaving debris around the star is the reason. It could also be uncommonly high volume of comets or asteroids in the system, or even more mysteriously, an alien structure known as a Dyson ring. Number 3 is Segway 1. Segway 1 is an unusual object which orbits our galaxy. With a mass 600,000 times that of our entire solar system, it produces a combined light output equal to 300 suns. This sounds like a lot, but it's actually extremely dim compared to its galactic neighborhood. Consisting of mainly ancient stars from around 12 billion years ago, the Segway 1 contains around 1,000 star systems. Astronomers aren't sure if it's a true galaxy or even a globular cluster of stars because it doesn't fit the profile. But the biggest mystery of the Segway 1 is that it has an unusually high mass to light ratio, which may suggest that this object is dominated by dark matter. Then there are others that suggest that the Segway 1 is a precursor to a galaxy which never completed the final steps of its evolution for some reason. The only thing that is certain about the Segway 1 is that nothing is certain. Number 2 is CDFS XT1. In 2017, astronomers using NASA's Chandra X-ray Observatory discovered a unique X-ray source called CDFS XT1. This event was a highly energetic explosion resulting from an unknown destructive event. But unlike other high-energy bursts, this one had some unique properties, including becoming 1,000 times brighter in just a few hours before disappearing. Though the source isn't certain, data from the Hubble Space Telescope suggests that it came from a galaxy 10.7 billion light years from Earth. In just a few minutes, it produced 1,000 times more energy than all the stars in its home galaxy. Explanations include a gamma ray burst pointing away from the Earth, or a black hole destroying a white dwarf star. Then there's a third possibility that it came from something that we've never encountered before. And number 1 is the Zone of Avoidance. Known as the Zone of Avoidance, this area of the night sky hides a number of perplexing mysteries. Due to interstellar dust and star systems blocking our view along the galactic plane, astronomers have found it difficult to study what may lie beyond this region. This accounts for as much as 10% of the night sky. Inside this zone sits the Great Attractor. This is an unknown object or structure which is pulling galaxies, including our own, towards it. Some recent studies suggest that it may be a supercluster of undiscovered galaxies hidden behind the galactic plane, but until we figure out a way to observe the Zone of Avoidance correctly, mystery is still going to surround the area and the Great Attractor. Who knows what amazing, mysterious, or potentially even terrifying things wait to be discovered. Number 10 is the Center. Even those with a passing knowledge of the universe know that it started with a massive explosion called the Big Bang. This explosion created everything in the universe, all the matter and energy we see around us. The explosion continued to expand, and this is where we live, within that expansion. It seems logical then to ask, where is the center of the universe? So where did the Big Bang start? Well, there are two answers to this. One is that we don't know where the Big Bang originated, and the other is even more confusing, that there is no center. Astronomers and physicists liken the universe to an expanding balloon, and so we are on the surface of that balloon as it expands. We can travel across the surface, but there is no real central point that we can travel to. We cannot get inside the balloon, and therefore, we can never know where it came from. Number 9 is Hoag's Object. In 2001, the Hubble Space Telescope took one of the most incredible images ever seen in astronomy. It was of an object in space called Hoag's Object. This area of space has a bright object at its center, and then a large ring of stars around it. Between the ring and the center, there's a huge void, thousands of light years across. No one knows how this place formed, nor whether it should be even classified as a galaxy, as some argue. Since this initial discovery, other places have been discovered with their own Hogue objects. This shows that whatever force has created this strange pattern exists in more than one place. It's easy then to speculate that something has pushed the stars out into this ring formation, and that whatever has done so may not be visible to the naked eye, or even to our most advanced scientific instruments. Number 8 is the Unicorn constellation. When huge gas nebula are seen from Earth, they cause wonder in the observer. They are only made observable because the gases are lit up by a backdrop of stars. When this happens, these vast regions of space take on strange and unusual forms. However, there is one region in the constellation of the Unicorn where a nebula has taken on a shape which for many defies explanation. Known as the Red Rectangle Nebula, illuminated by two stars at its center, the nebula shines with a bizarre square shape. This is not seen usually outside of man-made constructions. One theory is that the stars are creating two separate shapes which combine to make a square. The nebula also glows red for some reason, and there are still some researchers who believe that the red rectangle remains inexplicable to this day and may forever. Number 7 is the Great Attractor. The Great Attractor is an unexplained gravitational anomaly. It sits in what's called the zone of avoidance. This is an area of space which is obscured by the middle of our galaxy, and so we cannot directly observe it. The Great Attractor is pulling galaxies towards it. To put this into context, it's believed that the Great Attractor has a combined mass which is many times larger than our entire Milky Way galaxy. What's in this region of space remains completely unknown. Some believe that there's a supercluster of galaxies in this region of space, which would account for its gravitational pull. Others still believe that there's something else about this region which needs to be explained. The debate over what the Great Attractor is and why it's pulling us towards it remains unsolved. Number 6 is the Cold Spot. One unsettling aspect of our universe is that mysterious regions continue to be discovered each and every year. These places challenge our ideas about how reality works. In 2017, for example, a mysterious cold spot in space was theorized to explain the true bizarre nature of our universe. The current standard model of physics suggests that this region, which is colder than surrounding areas, should be the result of structures in the universe known as voids. However, measurements of the radiation in this region seem to defy this explanation. More than that, physicists believe that something truly unique has occurred at this point in the universe. One theory to explain this cold spot is if other parallel universes exist outside of our own. There's no way to know for sure, but the cold spot could be where two universes actually crashed into each other. Number 5 are the filaments. The center of our galaxy has always been mysterious. It's obscured by large amounts of gas and dust, and so observing it directly can be difficult. There is good evidence to believe that there are many stars there, and even at least one supermassive black hole, but in 2017, astronomers found something entirely new. Referring to them as filaments, there are structures which seem to be swirling like a snake out from the center of the galaxy. They are comprised of gas, and one appears to be connected partially to a black hole. There's no full explanation yet for what this is and how it formed. And so, this just adds more mystery to what the center of our galaxy is hiding from us. Who knows what else we'll find as our technology to observe the unseen heart of our galaxy improves. Number 4 is other dimensions of space. It has to be said that one of the strangest theories to come out of physics is the proposed existence of other dimensions. What's even more shocking is that this theory could be correct. It could be that what we see around us as the immensity of space is only the tip of the iceberg. We live in 3 dimensions, and a 4th if you include moving through time. But there may be regions of space here with us now, inside and out of us. These regions are other dimensions, alien to our own. What's in those dimensions is anybody's guess. It could be that there are other structures like planets and galaxies, but which operate in very different ways. Furthermore, there could be a form of life in these regions of space. In this way, aliens could be closer to us than we think. They could in fact be in dimensions of space right next to us, which we simply cannot yet observe. Number 3 is the Great Nothing. The Great Nothing is one region of space which continues to confuse astronomers. It's an enormous spherical region with a diameter of nearly 330 million light years. What's strange about this region is that it's almost completely empty when compared to the rest of the universe. To put this into perspective, if the Earth was at the center of the Great Nothing and you looked up at the night sky, you would see no stars with the naked eye because everything would be too far away. Current theories suggest that for this region of space, there should be over 2,000 galaxies, and yet only 60 galaxies have been found in the entire area. One speculative theory is that the entire region is populated by an alien race which has built structures called Dyson spheres around the stars, absorbing their energy and blocking their light in the process. Number 2 is the space between. We tend to think about the universe as countless stars surrounded by planets, and that each star has its own family of objects on top of that, including asteroids, dwarf planets, and moons. You might call it a stellar neighborhood. However, what we fail to comprehend is that most of space is what is between these neighborhoods. Recently, scientists have discovered that these empty spaces may be more mysterious than we once thought. The reason? They're not exactly empty. There may be countless dark objects moving through these regions, waiting to collide into our own solar system. These could be rogue planets, but more worrying, they could be the remnants of a dead star or a black hole. We cannot know for sure what lies in the space between our solar system and another, but it could contain things which will truly defy the limits of our imagination. And number 1 is beyond. An important question is, if our universe is expanding, what is it expanding into? This is a common question, and physicists and philosophers have been trying to answer it in a satisfactory way for decades. However, the perfect explanation remains elusive. There are candidate theories though. For example, what we consider as our universe may just be what we can see. It may in fact be far larger than that, and so the expanding galaxies of which we are a part are simply expanding into this part of space. However, if this is true, there is a terrifying potential consequence. Some theorize that out there other Big Bangs have occurred and are hurtling towards us. We simply just can't see them yet because the light hasn't reached us. When we do finally see them, our universe as we know it could be destroyed by galaxies and black holes from other Big Bangs ripping through our own. Number 10 is 55 Cancri E. With a name like 55 Cancri E, it's no surprise that it's one strange planet. Also known as Janssen, named after a famous Dutch telescope pioneer, this extrasolar planet has twice the diameter of Earth and nearly 9 times as massive. Orbiting a star that's somewhat like our own, it's what's known as a super-Earth, and was the first planet of its kind to be discovered around a main sequence star. But unlike our home world, which takes 365 days to orbit our sun, Janssen orbits its star in just 18 hours. That's because the planet is 25 times closer to its star than Mercury is to the sun. Being that close, Janssen endures temperatures of more than 1700 degrees Celsius. That's hot enough to melt iron. In fact, it would also explain why recent measurements by the Hubble telescope indicate that the planet is covered in oceans of molten lava. Number 9 is Dimidium. Dimidium is 50 light years away from our solar system and has some mesmerizing features. In fact, it may be the first ever discovery of a new type of planet dubbed hot Jupiters. And no, that's not just because they're good looking, you know what I'm saying? They actually include massive gas giants which reach searing temperatures. Our own Jupiter sits much farther away from our own star, but hot Jupiters tend to be closer. This was a big deal because most solar system models up until that time predicted that large gas giants should not be close to a star. Dimidium's discovery turned that idea on its head. Astronomers believe that Dimidium is covered in a gloomy gray gas, but underneath this, the atmosphere glows red due to heat and radiation. Think about that, imagine looking up and just seeing a red sky. Many believe that Dimidium is close and large enough to later become the first ever extrasolar planet to be photographed. Number 8 is the Genesis planet. The Genesis planet is mind-blowing simply because of how old it is. Also known as Methuselah because of the Bible story about a man who lived in 969, the Genesis planet has that age easily beaten. This planet is a staggering 12.7 billion years old. That's so old it gets a galactic discount at IHOP. It's way older than most known planets and 3 times as old as Earth itself. Methuselah has some other quirks, including being the first planet to be discovered orbiting a star in a global cluster. What's more, the planet orbits not 1 but 2 stars. One of these stars is a pulsar neutron star which revolves 100 times a second. This has actually left scientists perplexed because such stars are the result of a supernova. That's an explosion which should have either destroyed or ejected Methuselah from the system. Number 7 is Gliese 436b. Gliese 436b is a strange exoplanet which has confused astronomers. This gas giant was the first of its kind to be documented and has been labeled as a hot Neptune. This is because it has a similar mass to Neptune itself. NASA detected clouds on this planet back in 2013, but it's what's happening beneath those clouds that's so strange. Gliese 436b is way hotter than scientists would have predicted, reaching temperatures of 439 degrees Celsius, which means something other than its nearby star is heating the planet. It could be a greenhouse effect, but no one knows. The other thing that's amazing is that this higher temperature causes the hydrogen and helium in the atmosphere to evaporate as the planet moves around its star. Theories suggest that this leaves a huge gaseous trail behind, making the entire planet look like a comet. You hear that? Every time you fart, you look like a comet. That's science. Number 6 is the Dark Planet. This planet, also known as TRES-2b, stands out from other discovered planets. It would be quite a sight if we could see it. This exoplanet is 750 light years from Earth and has a low geometric albedo. This is a fancy way of saying that the planet's atmosphere reflects a tiny amount of light. My head has a low geometric albedo. In fact, the dark planet's atmosphere reflects just 1% of the light which strikes it, and some believe that it could be even less than that. No one's entirely sure why the planet is so dark, but one theory is that the planet has thick clouds of potassium or gaseous titanium oxide. These substances absorb a lot of light, and if they're abundant enough in the atmosphere, they could stop clouds from being reflective. Literally, even up close, this planet would be difficult to see. It would basically appear as a giant ball of black gas. Number 5 is 16 Cygni BB. Just 69 light years from our own sun, 16 Cygni BB was the first eccentric Jupiter ever detected. Like a hot Jupiter, these planets get their name from our own massive gas giant due to being a similar size or mass. But eccentric Jupiters don't orbit their stars like Jupiter does. Jupiter orbits our own sun in a stable manner, maintaining the same distance from the sun as it moves. However, this planet has an erratic orbit and moves closer than farther away from from its star. Because of this, its seasons are just all over the place. Summer heats can reach as high as 760 degrees Celsius, and then followed by bone-crunching winters of negative 250 degrees Celsius. This exoplanet's erratic orbit and mass means that it has probably collided with or thrown out smaller Earth-like planets to the far reaches of its solar system. In other words, it's unlikely we're ever going to find life around it because it would literally just throw an alien into space. Number 4 is WASP-17b. WASP-17b orbits a star in the constellation Scorpius and has a strange quirk that scientists thought was impossible. This planet has what's known as a retrograde orbit. This means that WASP-17b orbits in an opposite direction from its star. If you imagine a star orbiting clockwise from your viewpoint, then WASP-17b would be going counterclockwise. Astronomers have no idea why this happens, as models of planet movement up until that point predicted that all planets should revolve in the same direction as their parent star. One theory to explain this strange behavior is that at some point in the planet's past, it came into close proximity with another large planet. The gravitational forces then acted like a slingshot and propelled WASP-17b in an opposite direction. That's right, this is the rebel planet. It probably listens to Marilyn Manson and wears eye makeup. Number 3 is Deep Blue. Deep Blue, or HD 189733b as it's known, is 63 light years away from our solar system, but you'll be glad it keeps its distance as it has a split personality. With a mass of 13% higher than Jupiter, Deep Blue is tidally locked. This means that, just like our moon, which only ever shows Earth the same side, Deep Blue always faces its star in the same direction. The planet is split down the middle, with one side in perpetual day and the other in perpetual night. This environment creates huge storms. The wind on Deep Blue travels from the day side towards the night side at speeds of 8,700 kilometers an hour. Just gonna do the math on that one real quick. Carry the 6. Yeah, that's fast. Seriously, that's 7 times the speed of sound. If those storms were on Earth, they would destroy every man-made structure and grind them into dust in probably seconds. Number 2 is The Lonely Planet. Hurtling through the universe 80 light years away is the loneliest planet of all. Well, at least for those discovered so far. For years, astronomers speculated that there may be planets which exist outside of our star system. When the Lonely Planet was discovered, it proved once and for all that these rogue planets do exist. With no parent star to orbit, you'd expect such a planet to be a frozen wasteland. But astronomers believe that the Lonely Planet has clouds of molten iron and dust. Beneath them, due to internal forces, it's possible that the temperature could reach as high as 800 degrees Celsius. While rogue planets are often ejected from parent star systems due to incredible forces such as a supernova, the Lonely Planet is so young that it's more likely to have formed by itself. Someone give this planet a hug. And number 1 is WASP-18b. This planet is massive! Seriously, it has 10 times the mass of Jupiter and is just beneath that of a failed star such as a brown or red dwarf. But what really makes WASP-18b something special is that it has a spiral orbit. This means that the planet is slowly but surely getting closer and closer to its parent star. In our solar system, we see something similar with Mars's moon Phobos. That diminutive moon is 40 times closer to Mars than our moon is to us, and because of this, it will smash into the planet in 11 million years. This is exactly the same as what will happen to WASP-18b. Eventually, it's going to smash straight into its star in 1 million years. But the planet is actually fighting back. It's big enough to disrupt the star's magnetic field, which stops it from releasing bursts of X-rays. It's literally a cosmic fight to the death! Number 10 are the Apollo tapes. The Apollo space program ran from 1960 until 1972. Its aim was simple: to put a human being on the moon and to unlock the secrets of our nearest celestial neighbor. In fact, when we did finally land on the moon in 1969, it was seen as the greatest technological advancement since human beings had discovered fire. Why then are many of the tapes which documented this incredible journey missing or destroyed? You'd think that those involved in the space program would want to capture their achievements for future generations. Some believe that the reason the tapes are missing is because they hint at a difficult truth. Two possibilities have been presented: that the tapes contain evidence that the moon mission was a hoax, or more tantalizingly, they include footage of a rumored alien encounter in the depths of space. Number 9 is STS-80. Hundreds of manned space missions have taken place over the last few decades. Most of them were to lower orbits where astronauts would repair satellites or carry out work on the International Space Station. During these missions, cameras have captured strange anomalies. These include objects which move as though they are being controlled by an intelligence. Astronauts were there to deploy orbital equipment including 2 satellites, but their cameras inadvertently picked up bright objects which moved in the distance. Unlike any piece of debris, these objects seem to change orientation, something debris should not be able to do. What they were, no one is sure, but it's certainly a topic which some NASA officials continue to evade. Number 8 is Gemini 4.
I think I'm dragging a little bit, so I don't want to fire the gun.
During the Gemini 4 mission in 1965, which was NASA's second manned spaceflight, pilot Jim McDivitt was shocked to see a strange object in the distance, set against the blackness of space. The object was cylindrical, with a long pole sticking out from one corner. McDivitt himself was non-committal about it, not knowing exactly what he had seen, but there was film footage taken at other points during the mission, so the fact that alleged footage of such a singular encounter is missing seems eerily suspicious. Number 7 is Apollo 10. Apollo 10 was the first moon mission to have a color TV camera on board, as opposed to an 8mm film camera. Just as the 1969 spacecraft was heading into the dark side of the moon, where the crew would be out of radio contact for an hour, they began to complain about hearing strange music coming from somewhere.
That is music even sounds outer spacey, doesn't it? Do you hear that whistling sound?
They also captured an anonymous white object flying in the opposite direction of the command service module, which remains unexplained. Many argue that if it had been debris from the craft, it would have been traveling in the same direction. So what was it? And why did the crew of Apollo 10 avoid the topic of the strange music that they heard up there? The existing audio tapes show that this happened, but few wish to officially acknowledge them. Number 6 is Gemini 7.
Go. 5.
Transcripts from the Gemini 7 mission in 1965 point to the tantalizing possibility that NASA covered up an encounter between the crew and a mysterious object. Given that footage was filmed during Gemini 7, this also suggests that existing film footage of this encounter may actually exist and has been hidden for an unknown reason.
Gemini 7 here, you want to hear 8? Lots cleared. 7, go ahead. I'll go to you at 10 o'clock high. This is Houston. Say again, 7? So yeah, I'll go to you at 10 o'clock high.
Astronauts aboard the Gemini 7 spacecraft not only alerted ground crew that there was an unusual object following them, but they referred to it specifically as a bogey, which is the term used in the Air Force when describing an enemy aircraft. While some have suggested that this enemy craft was the booster segment of the mission, others have declared that theory to have been debunked, which opens the door to the possibility that Gemini 7 was being intercepted by a craft of extraterrestrial origin. Number 5 are the lost years. We have meticulous records surrounding the NASA space program. We know when each milestone was reached. Whether it was the first American manned spaceflight or when Neil Armstrong first stepped onto the lunar surface, there's film footage of it. But some argue that this account is only half of the story, the tip of a dark and concealed iceberg. One theory states that alongside the public missions, there were a series of earlier, secret ones, which were sent to test out new technology and explore the vastness of space. One of the reasons put forward for this is that the US government did not want their space program to publicly fail during a propaganda war with the Soviet Union. Instead, these earlier missions were carried out in secret, no doubt filmed just as meticulously. The question is, just what happened to those tapes? Number 4 is STS-48.
Go. 5.
STS-48 was a space shuttle mission which launched on September 15, 1991. Its primary objective was to launch an upper atmosphere research satellite. After 81 revolutions of the Earth and 2.2 million miles later, the shuttle completed its mission, but not before its cameras captured unbelievable footage. The footage clearly shows several objects flying in what appears to be a controlled trajectory. This formulation was unlike anything the astronauts had ever seen before. One of the objects performs an about turn and alters its speed and direction at the same time. This footage was soon released, though many believe this is because it had already been intercepted by amateur decoders on the ground. Several explanations for the STS-48 footage have been proposed, but none of them have been robust enough to remove the mystery. Number 3 is the Mars redacted footage.
Go. 5.
It's difficult to understand why space exploration stalled for so long after Apollo 17. Space technology had progressed quickly, taking humanity from unmanned space satellites to standing on the moon in a short time. The official explanation is that public interest in the space race fell, and so investment in it dried up. However, there are rumors of secret missions which took place after Apollo 17. One of the most infamous is a rumored mission to Mars itself. Whispers continue that NASA crews traveled to the Red Planet, taking with them a variety of experiments and camera equipment. Some of this has been leaked online, with out-of-focus film footage allegedly showing the crew in orbit. Of course, NASA denies this, but nevertheless, if they did indeed go secretly to Mars, what did they find there? Number 2 is the Engineer's Archive. In 2005, a man whose identity was protected passed away. In his basement, his wife found 325 data reels and 2 huge computers dating back to the early space program through the 1970s. Over 100 of the tapes were labeled, and some of the labeling remains a mystery. For example, one tape covered data from the Pioneer 11 mission, which launched in 1973, but this tape was labeled from 1972. The serial numbers on the 2 computers could also not be traced. They could not be found in any record, as though they came from a classified NASA project. It's common knowledge that NASA taped over many tapes from important missions, so you would think that they would want to know what was on them. Instead, they destroyed all of the tapes without releasing any further information about them. And number 1 is the alien moon base.
Go. 5.
There would be no more manned expeditions to the moon after the early 1970s. And yet, many believe those missions continued for a while at least. The reason those subsequent missions were not made public was because NASA had discovered an alien base on the moon. Whether inhabited or not is unclear, but supporters of this theory have identified footage taken from moon orbit, as well as a controversial piece of footage showing astronauts exploring the alien structure on foot in a classified mission as definitive proof that NASA is hiding something. Number 1 is gravitational lensing. In space, gravity has some additional effects unlike on Earth, one of those being that it has the ability to bend light around objects, an effect that scientists call gravitational lensing. This picture is of a luminous red galaxy gravitationally distorting the light from a much more distant blue galaxy, causing the blue light to appear as an almost perfect ring. This is a significant discovery because it means that astronomers may now have the ability to study things like galaxies that are behind gravity sources such as black holes. What's also quite interesting is that this effect can create multiple copies of objects, as seen in this picture where one galaxy appears as 3 and one quasar appears as 5. That must be quite confusing to astronomers at first, because really, how would you know which is the copy and which is the real? Oh, that really does sound confusing. I'd hate to be in that position. Number 2 is pareidolia. Pareidolia is the effect of perceiving an image or pattern where it doesn't actually exist, and there is a lot of it in space. There are countless examples of images taken from space of things that look a little too familiar. This photo, taken by NASA on July 25th, 1976, appears to show a face on Mars. This image, taken by the European Southern Observatory of 3 galaxies, appears to be a cosmic hummingbird. This image, taken by the Chandra Observatory, is of a pulsar, and it has been dubbed the Hand of God. This is a thermal image taken by NASA of Mimas, one of Saturn's moons, showing what looks like a Pac-Man. And of course, here's a nebula that appears to be flipping you the bird. Those are just some of the hundreds of images available online, so feel free to Google them, just don't be surprised if some of them are phallic. I mean, it is the internet. Number 3 is Mira, the red giant. If you've ever been lucky enough to see a shooting star, you know how cool it looks. But of course, a shooting star is not a star at all. It's a meteorite, as a star is billions of times bigger. Well, as it so happens, there is an actual shooting star that was discovered called Mira. It's a red giant planet at the end of its life, but instead of simply burning out like most stars, it decided to go out in a blaze of glory, rocketing through the universe at a speed of 468,000 kilometers an hour. The most fascinating thing about Mira is that the 13 light-year long tail that it's leaving behind it will actually spawn more stars and planets in the future. So essentially, it's impregnating every area of the universe that it can before it dies. Which means that all those stars will grow up without a father. Planets these days, man. No morals. Number 4 are hypervelocity stars. If you thought Mira was impressive, let me introduce you to its track-running cousin on meth, the hypervelocity star. These stars are big fiery balls of gas that blast through space at a speed of up to 3.2 million kilometers an hour. When a star system is consumed by a supermassive black hole, it ejects a massive ball of burning gas up to 4 times the size of our sun at an almost incomprehensible speed. In fact, just last year, 6 hypervelocity stars were ejected from the black hole at the heart of our Milky Way. It must have eaten some space Taco Bell. We all know that feel. Number 5 is the bipolar planet. Discovered in 2007, Gliese 581c is an extremely bizarre planet. It orbits a red dwarf star with proximity far closer than that of the Earth to the Sun. This means that it's stuck in a state of something called tidal locking, which means that one side of the planet is always facing the star, while one side is always facing away from it, just like the moon's relationship with Earth. The star side would instantly melt you, while the other side would instantly freeze you. However, in between those two extremes, there's a small belt that scientists believe could support life. In fact, this planet was determined to be one of the leading candidates for future colonization of space. I really don't think many people would sign up to live there if it became an option though. Mostly because the sky is a constant blood red color and plants would be pitch black due to constant bombardment of radiation. It would be like living in hell. Yeah, no thanks. Number 6 is the Castor system. The Castor system represents one of the 2 bright stars from the Gemini constellation and is one of the brightest stars in the night sky. What's impressive about the Castor system is that it only appears to be a single star, but it's actually 6 individual stars that emit 52.4 times more luminosity than that of our sun. To put that into perspective, the sun is incredibly bright and is only 0.000015 light years away from Earth. The Castor system is 49.8 light years away from Earth, so good thing it wasn't any closer or else everything would look like this. Whew. Better get your shades. Number 7 is the Diamond Planet. Discovered in 2004, 55 Cancri E is a planet made almost entirely out of crystallized diamond. This planet, dubbed the Diamond Planet, was actually once part of a binary system until its partner planet began to cannibalize it. The result was enough heat and pressure to create a planet with a core made of pure diamond, representing 1/3 of the planet's entire mass. The rest of the planet is made up of crystallized diamond, graphite, and a few other silicates. Oh, and if you're wondering just how big this planet is, it's 2 times the size of Earth with 8 times its mass. Damn boy, that's a lot of bling. Alright, whatever, I give up. I'm going to watch Netflix. Number 8 is the Himiko Cloud. The Himiko Cloud is a primordial blob of gas discovered in 2009 and is the largest object ever discovered from the early universe. Believed to date back only 800 million years after the original Big Bang, it's located 12.9 billion light years away, and researchers believe it may hold the secrets to the origins of our galaxy. This cloud belongs to the epoch of reionization, a time when galaxies were just beginning to form in the universe. It was named Himiko after the ancient and mysterious Japanese queen, which is cool, but I prefer to call it the giant mystery blob discovered near the dawn of time. Way more badass. Number 9 is the Large Quasar Group. The Large Quasar Group, or LQG, was deemed the largest and most massive known structure in the observable universe upon its discovery in 2012. The LQG is approximately 4 billion light years in diameter, and again, to put that into perspective, our galaxy, the Milky Way, is only about 100,000 light years in diameter, and even that is a huge number. In fact, it's so enormous that it literally breaks the laws of modern astronomy, as the maximum size of any cosmic structure should only be 1.2 billion light years across. Scientists are completely baffled by how this structure was formed, but I'm okay with that, seeing as how a quasar is a supermassive black hole that feeds on matter, and this structure is comprised of 73 of them, so, you know, it's probably in our best interest not to poke at it too much. And number 10, rogue planets. Our solar system has 8 planets in it, 9 if you count Pluto, but that's only counting the planets that play by the rules of our solar system. There also exist things called rogue planets, which are planets that don't orbit anything and simply move through the galaxy until something stops it. Now that's as interesting as it is terrifying, because the average size of these planets is comparable to Jupiter, and there are 200 billion of them rushing around the universe just ready to smash into us. So essentially 200 billion gigantic planets are speeding randomly around us like a universal game of pinball. Earth and Venus are identical twins. Let's start with a pretty common one. The idea that's been planted in our minds is that Venus, the second planet from the Sun, is Earth's exact twin. Well, as it turns out, Venus isn't blue or green in color, despite what many grade school science fair projects would have you believe. Instead, it's actually a swirling mix of grays, browns, and yellows. This misconception is because of the planet's incredibly thick atmosphere that reflects 60% of the Sun's light and hides raging sulfuric acid storms that would dissolve you literally in seconds. Additionally, very little of Venus's surface isn't covered in molten lava flows, so yeah, it's hot. Meteorites are hot. Movies and books are the main source of this little piece of fiction. It's said that if you happen upon a freshly fallen meteorite, you should avoid contact with it as it will burn you. However, since these rocks have been floating through the ice realm that is space for billions of years, they're only actually a few degrees warmer than absolute zero before falling. And while yes, entering the atmosphere does heat objects up, the temperature difference between almost absolute zero and a flaming projectile results in a roughly lukewarm meteorite. Of course, the Martian that accompanies it is a different story altogether. Just don't poke him. The sun is yellow. Here's a pretty simple one. What color is the sun? Well, if you're like most of the population, you answered yellow, light orange, or some other fire-related hue. But the reality is we only see that big star as yellow because of the light reflectiveness of the Earth's atmosphere. That's right, the sun is actually white. And we have 2 clear pieces of evidence to prove this. The first is when something burns as hot as the sun does, roughly 5,778 degrees Kelvin, it burns pure white. And of course the second is that astronauts that we have sent up there for various reasons have taken a quick peek and they told us it was white. Black holes are super vacuums. The scariest thing that you can encounter in space besides Psycho Clown space pirates is a black hole. The myth claims that once a black hole is formed, everything nearby it gets sucked into it and destroyed. Where matter goes once it enters a black hole is still a mystery, but the gravitational pull of a dead star is the same as when it was burning bright. Thus, if our sun became a black hole today, first we'd freeze to death, but other than that, we, along with everything around it, would simply continue to circle this lightless celestial body roughly until the end of time. The dark side of the moon. Whether you enjoy the Pink Floyd album or the lame Michael Bay Transformers movie, when someone mentions the dark side of the moon, you likely know exactly what they're talking about. The claim is that there's a side of the moon that is forever bathed in darkness. People believe this because we always see the same face due to its orbit and spin. However, the truth is, unless there's a lunar eclipse, the sun definitely does hit all sides of the moon within one Earth day. Meaning that, and I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but there is no legendary dark side of the moon. It's purely an entertainment, my friends. Sound in space. In movies, space battles can be amazing with cool weapons and explosions, but they do get one thing very wrong, and that is the audio. You see, sounds and vibrations are carried through the air or other mediums to the ear. Space is, of course, a vacuum, which means that there's nothing to carry noise. Now, that's not to say that there is no sound in space at all. It just means that when there is, there must be a channel for that sound to travel along. Interesting bonus fact, your voice would sound much higher on Mars due to its atmosphere, kind of like this. Ah, yes. How does that sound, right? Very spacey. Yeah, that's how it would sound. Good thing we're on Earth. So basically, all that you need to know is that in space, nobody can hear you scream, or whisper, or fart, or chew obnoxiously loud. You know, it wouldn't be that bad. Humans explode instantly without protective suits. I feel sorry for the person that busted this myth. The belief is that if you opened your helmet or otherwise exposed yourself to the vacuum of space, either you'd instantly freeze or your body would explode. The truth is, you can actually survive in space for around 30 seconds without permanent damage. Number 1 is the giant pink bunny. Who would have thought something so cute could be also totally creepy? Yep, that image that you're looking at is a 55-meter long, 5-meter thick pink knitted bunny appropriately named Hair. Hair was constructed out of a fabric and straw by Gelatin, a Vienna art collective, and he lives on a large hill called Coleto Fava in northern Italy. The collective built him to make visitors feel tiny, the way that Gulliver did in his fictional travels. Clearly okay with being creepy, the collective added some guts that appeared to pop out of Hair's side and made his mouth into a twisted, scared expression. Some people need a hobby. Number 2 is a street with a view. Now here's some people who know how to have fun while thinking outside of the box. Street with a View was an artistic installation headed by Robin Hewlett and Ben Kingsley of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Together with a large group of local residents and the direct cooperation of the Google Street View team, they created a number of scenes for the public to view while perusing the site. They include a heroic rescue, a marching band, and a 17th century samurai battle. Wow, whoever knew that Google Street View was so cool? Next time you want to watch Netflix, just go on there, search down the alleyways, never know what you're gonna find. Number 3 are thieves. There's unfortunately plenty of crime to spot happening on Google Maps, from simple speeding to assault and even prostitution. You'd think that criminals would want to be careful, maybe, perform their crimes at night or at the very least out of view of cars driving past. But instead, we're treated to the class of criminal that breaks into buildings and steals cars, bikes, and other personal property while a few snaps of them are taken by a car with 15 cameras attached to it. Google Maps have been used in quite a few cases to locate stolen merchandise and even bring some lawbreakers to justice. See, that's just lazy. I feel like if you're in the middle of a crime and you see, a giant Google car driving by with 15 cameras on it, maybe you should stop, take a little break, pull out a sandwich, just chill, and then resume after the car's gone by. Or don't. No, actually don't. It's better that you get caught. Yes. Number 4 is roadkill. everybody makes mistakes, even the guy who drives for Google Street Car View. On January 29th, 2009, Google released a statement addressing a number of complaints that flooded in after images of a young deer before and after being struck by a Street View car on 5 Points Road in upstate New York were uploaded to Google Maps. As it turns out, Google claims that the deer got up moments after being hit and ran away before police arrived, letting the driver off the hook, which I'm sure came as a relief to both him and the mega company. If you're the guy driving the van with 15 cameras on it and you hit anything, you should just assume that you've lost your job and you know what, just go full on Grand Theft Auto. Just give them something to look at on Google Street View, you know what I'm saying? Make it entertaining. Number 5 are deformed people. No, the image you see here is not a newly discovered human-ostrich hybrid, it's simply a woman who moved at the wrong time. There are many similar pictures on Google Street View where two images taken mere moments apart overlap to create a distorted rendition of subjects in the foreground. Why does this occur? Well, the technology that matches each image to the one taken before and after can't match both the foreground and the background smoothly. So while the temple in the background and the ground seem fine, the woman is split between two panoramic shots. Don't lie, if you have a phone that can do a panoramic image, you know you've done this too. And if you haven't, you're welcome. Go have some fun. Number 6 is the bikini bar. This one has surprised many more people who have stumbled upon it in real life, but it is still an incredibly creepy thing to find on Google Maps. Created by Dutch artist Joop van Lieshout and his art collective, the bikini bar is a giant walk-through torso of a bikini-clad woman and was made in 2006 for an outdoor gallery. The sculpture is meant to humorously draw attention to housing issues. In addition to the bikini bar, the artist made Darwin, a giant dark blue sperm, and bar rectum, which is described as a multifunctional anal office. Yep. Number 7 is the bat signal. You know, I've always wondered how Batman stores all of his cars, boats, and flying machines in a cave. Now I know. Well, as it turns out, he's been keeping them at a United States military base in Japan. The US Air Force's 44th Fighter Squadron, Kadena Air Base in Okinawa, has the awesome symbol painted on its roof that was put there sometime in the 1980s. Many in the unit actually take pride from the bat symbol marking their base, and it's clearly been touched up and maintained since its creation. Na Air Force! That actually has a good ring to it. Number 8 is a KFC advertisement. It should come as no surprise that businesses advertise with Google all the time, but for some companies such as KFC, that just isn't enough. Back in 2006, the restaurant launched a global re-imaging of their brand, and with it built a gargantuan version of their logo that stares into space from the desert town of Rachel, Nevada. But they're not alone. In fact, other companies have created real-world images to be displayed on Google Maps, such as the Coca-Cola logo made up of over 70,000 Coke bottles in the Chilean desert and the 45,000 square foot Firefox crop circle in Oregon. This is a great way to advertise. I'm just gonna do the giant Baldo face somewhere in Canada. Yes, just my face on the ground like this. Nightmares for the astronauts. Number 9 is before and after devastation. Hurricane Sandy, the most deadly storm of the 2012 hurricane season, made its way to New York on October 26th, bringing with it devastation and loss. One of the places hit hardest by this powerful superstorm was Staten Island in New York. On January 3rd, 2013, the Google Street View car drove through Staten Island, snapping images of the devastation, which drew complaints from residents who didn't want their destroyed homes displayed for the world to see. And in one truly chilling instance, with one click along Kissam Avenue, you can see the before and then after images of a home that was completely leveled by the hurricane. This should be a good lesson to the Google team. Let's not take pictures after devastation. Let's wait a little bit for, just to be nice at least. Number 10 is murder on the dock. Oh yeah. A truly disturbing image out of Almere, Netherlands. This person on this dock seems to be about to dispose of a corpse, a trail of blood revealing where they dragged the body from. This very picture on Google Maps drove people wild, fearing that they've stumbled upon a grisly murder. However, in reality, even though the trail appears to be red, it's actually a trail of water staining the wooden planks as a wet dog named Rama runs back to its owner. Rama's owner and her friend and say that they were playing fetch with the dog, but some still suspect wrongdoing. Google Street View, man, just nightmares for days. Also entertaining. Number 10 is a bad Google car. The Google Street Car travels the streets of the world, capturing image after image, giving us a true 360 representation of the places that it visits. But while the camera used was designed to record these routes for drivers using Google Maps, the designer probably didn't think the camera would catch the car itself breaking the law. In this photograph from the United Kingdom, we see a street sign digitally displaying the current speed of the Google car. It registers at 37 miles per hour, but the speed limit is either 20 or 30 miles per hour, depending on whether it's during school hours or not. So Google managed to incriminate itself with its own technology. I always knew the robots would get us in the end, but I never thought for a second that they'd turn on themselves. I guess they're more like us than we thought. Number 9 are accidental shenanigans. The subreddit Google Maps Shenanigans is a great place to find all kinds of weird, funny, and even creepy images caught by Google Street View. And one of the best images is called Accidental Shenanigans. In this photo, a woman in sandals has clearly been skateboarding as the Google car passed by. Either distracted by the car or just being a bad skateboarder, she tumbled off of the skateboard and was caught forever, frozen in the air just as she hit the ground. Now, fingers crossed that she wasn't hurt badly, but if you look closely at the image, I reckon her pinky saved her from the fall. Thankfully, the woman's dignity was protected by Google blurring her face, which is ironic as I'm pretty sure the entire world was a blur to the woman who hit the dirt. Mama, look at me go! I'm having a good time. Is that a Google Street Car? Oh my god. Number 8 is the Horse Boy. In 2010, Google Street View captured the enigmatic Horse Boy. While taking images on a street in Aberdeen, Scotland, the Google Street View car snapped this gentleman. The man with the horse's head was affectionately dubbed Horse Boy, and his purple sweatered figure became an internet meme. But the masses asked, where did this strange half-man, half-equine creature come from? Well, in 2013, after the furor of Horse Boy died down, he was once again seen, this time in Italy. He was strutting down a street between two cars when Google Street View once again immortalized him. But the question is it the same man? Is it the same horse's head, or just a mask? Or is it some kind of international cult of horse enthusiasts finally revealed to the public? We may never know. Number 7 is the Norwegian scuba attack. The Google Street Car captures many strange and wonderful sights, but one of the weirdest has to be this one. In this photograph, you see two men standing on a street in broad daylight. Now, this wouldn't be strange if it weren't for the fact that they're both dressed from head to toe in scuba diving gear. Complete with flippers, wetsuits, and snorkels, one of the men brandishes a large pitchfork, while the other has something in his hand and is running towards the camera, seemingly irate. Two deck chairs sit at the side of the road alongside an umbrella, so it looks like they're waiting to make a big catch of their own, but didn't want to get wet. Now, I'm not sure how you'd haul away an entire car in your scuba gear, but hey, I guess. In the words of Chief Brody, they're gonna need a bigger boat. Number 6 is Catman. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's Catman! This Google Street View was captured on the corner of a busy New York street during the day. While the usual busy commuters of New York walk past, one man waits across the road. He's wearing a red t-shirt, blue jeans, and a cat? But this isn't a garment made from cat fur. No. The cat is very alive and sitting on his head. Either that or it's a very realistic cat-shaped hat, in which case, why would you wear that? Yeah, I'm gonna go with the former one. The photograph was still in Street View until recently, but has since been replaced with updated images. Some claim to have seen this man wandering around the streets of New York with the black and white cat on his head. But now he's trained the cat to stay so still that it's anyone's guess. He's obviously some sort of cat whisperer. Number 5 is the disappearing skater. While Google Street View does its best to blur out the faces of people on the street, it can't blur out the bizarre. Strange artifacts are often captured by the Google car, and while the face of the disappearing skater is blurred, that's not the only thing that's missing. Like something out of a bad zombie movie, the disappearing skater's body rises straight out of the concrete. He also looks like he's doing a bad Thriller dance too, so the undead motif continues. Taken in San Diego, this is a good example of the double exposure effects which take place as the Google car takes thousands of images. When the photos are put together to create a 360-degree street view, sometimes passing objects, including people, are cut in half. Not literally, I know some people think Google is evil, but that's taking it one step too far. Number 4 are triplets. Speaking of strange camera artifacts, a similar process may have cloned one man into triplets. This shot, taken by the Google car, shows 3 identical men walking along a street. While some joke that the 3 men all dressed exactly the same are triplets, it's easy to show that they're not. I mean, why would triplets all dress the same unless they were trying to mess with people? Which is very possible, because I know that if I were a triplet or a twin, I would definitely blame things on my brother. Oh, I'm not the one that robbed the bank, that was my brother. The truth is, it's another product of how Google Street View images are put together. Both the first man and the man in the middle shadows are cut off slightly by the process I mentioned earlier. The images are stitched together, and where they overlap, you can see the shadow has been cut off. Again, either that or Google's research into medical science has finally paid off and the cloning process is real. Number 3 is caught in the act. What Google Street View does best is capture whatever is going on around a Google car with clarity. A snapshot for generations to look back on and see what a mad world people in the 21st century were living in. But it also catches bizarre moments like this strange car phenomenon just next to the aptly named Crazy Horse Bar. In the image, it appears that a group of people have covered a car in a parking bay completely in saran wrap. Either that or the car owner really wanted to keep his car safe. It's probable that this was just a prank in progress, although hopefully a good-natured one, maybe by the guy's friends. Other explanations include a giant car-shaped cake or a series of violent saran wrap incidents which have been plaguing the area at that time. Really, someone has that much time on their hands? The serial rapper. I'll wrap you up without your consent. Number 2 is an angry man. Technology can cause even the most placid of people to go into a spiral of rage. Whether it's your computer crashing, your phone not working, or cars on the road, it's easy to see why so many people are stressed out. But despite this, one piece of technology that you wouldn't think would elicit such a response is the Google car, which captures Street View images. But this man right here, appears to be caught in the red midst of technical rage. Despite being dressed like a teacher, his rage knows no bounds. As the Google car passes, he extends the courtesy of the international sign of disapproval, the double middle finger. What caused this otherwise boring looking man to be so angry, nobody knows. Perhaps he's angry at Google Glass failing. And number 1 is Hi-Ho Silver Away. Number 10 is Blood Lake. This sinister-looking crimson-red colored lake is called Lago Vermelho. Located just outside of Sadr City, a suburb district of Baghdad in Iraq, it garnered a fair share of macabre speculation when it was first noticed in 2007. According to information received from one source, there are a number of slaughterhouses surrounding the lake. Others have suggested that the area is cursed because of all of the war that has occurred there over the years. No one has offered an official explanation, but when viewing the lake on Google Earth today, the water has returned back to a normal color, leaving the blood red lake to remain one of Google Earth's many mysteries. Number 9 is Phantom Island. There's a mysterious island that exists only as a faint outline on Google Earth, known as Sandy Island, and it has experts baffled to this day. It was first charted back in September 15th of 1774 by Captain James Cook as being located in the eastern Coral Sea off northeast coast of Australia. In 1876, a whaling ship also reported the island, and it was noted on several maps in the 19th century. In time, sea charts began amending these maps, placing the letters ED next to the island, which means existence doubtful. The official undiscovery came in 2012 when Australian scientists failed to find Sandy Island. On November 26, 2012, Google removed the island from Google Maps. However, a visible rise from the seabed still exists on Google Earth, and no official explanation exists explaining this phenomenon. Number 8 is Airplane Graveyard. Since World War I, achieving and maintaining air superiority has been considered essential for victory in conventional warfare. With their superior speed and maneuverability, military aircraft are the staple of armies throughout the world. Their history and evolution is one filled with secrets, victories, and of course many failures. The Davis-Monthan Air Force Base outside of Tucson, Arizona is where old planes go to die. Chosen for its arid climate, which slows the plane's degradation, it's home to a huge variety of retired aerospace vehicles, nearly 5,000 of them to be exact. Many of them are nuclear capable, retired as a result of arms reduction treaties throughout the years. You can spot everything from B-52s to B-1s and F-111s that once carried nuclear arms to more recent additions like F-14 Tomcats, which were retired for good in 2006. Number 7 is Scientology Base. A satellite view of New Mexico shows two mysterious interlocking circles with diamond shapes in the middle of them. They're thought to be the marker of Scientology followers to find their way back from the farthest corner of the universe. Known as Trementina Base, it is allegedly the spot where the writings and archives of L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of the movement, are preserved for eternity inside titanium capsules. The compound has only been opened to a non-Scientology member once on record. Tim Gallegos, ex-police chief of the Las Vegas, New Mexico Sheriff's Department, was given a tour of the vault by church officials in the late 1990s. Gallegos said that he didn't see any signs of doing wrong, but noted his visit was planned, making it easy for the officials to only show what they wanted to. Number 6 is cryptic markings in the Gobi Desert. An array of mysterious structures and patterns etched into the surface of China's Gobi Desert have sparked speculation from both fringe and mainstream media. Some have suggested that they might be Chinese weapons testing sites. Others have suggested that they are street maps of Washington, D.C. and New York City. Others still believe them to be messages to or from aliens. The 19.8 meter wide white lines that make up these cryptic markings appear to be made of some sort of reflective metal. But Jonathan Hill, a research technician, observed that the lines have gaps in them, and they are not perfectly filled in with lots of little streaks and uneven coverage. He thinks it's safe to say that it's just some sort of paint being used as a spy satellite collaboration target. However, no official explanation exists. Number 5 is Russia's icy Jeannette Island is censored. If you navigate to the East Siberian Sea using Google Earth, you'll notice a landmass that appears only as a black smudge known as Jeannette Island. Its history is a confusing one, as it was first discovered in 1881 during an expedition led by American Navy officer and explorer George DeLong, and thus has been claimed as American territory. However, following the Imperial Russian Arctic Ocean Hydrographic Expedition of 1910, Russia publicly announced that Jeannette was part of the Russian Federation. Administratively speaking, the island now belongs to the Sakha Republic of the Russian Federation, and the states have never publicly disputed this claim. Many conspiracy theorists have suggested that this is an ideal location for a secret Russian military base, as it is relatively close to Canada and the US. Number 4 is a deserted island with a shipwreck. Located between the Bay of Bengal and the Andaman Sea, east of India and west of the countries of Myanmar and Thailand, North Sentinel Island is one of the least developed islands in the world, but is home to an indigenous tribe known as the Sentinelese. In August of 1981, a cargo ship ran around on a coastal reef at the northern tip of the island. After a few nights waiting for rescue, the crew was overjoyed when they spotted men running towards them from the island. Their joy quickly, however, turned to terror when they noticed these men were armed with spears, bows, and arrows. Eventually, the crew was airlifted to safety, but the boat was left behind and the shipwreck lies there to date. The Sentinelese people remain virtually untouched by any civilization still today. Number 3 is the Myrtles Plantation. Built between 1796 and 1797, Myrtles Plantation in St. Francisville, Louisiana was originally called Laurel Grove. Its claim to scare fame is that it's built on an ancient Indian burial ground. It's said to be home to 12 ghosts, as around a dozen people have had their lives taken while there. One of the most famous ghosts spotted at the Myrtles is Chloe, a slave girl who accidentally poisoned one of the original families that lived there. Supposedly, Chloe's plan had been to put just enough oleander into a birthday cake to make them ill so that she could nurse them back to health, and thus win over the family's trust. The house is open to the public and available for bookings as an inn, even though it retains its reputation as one of the most haunted locations in America. Number 2 is the Devil's Face. There's only one city in North America ever to be completely destroyed as an act of war. In 1864, General Sherman burned Atlanta, Georgia to the ground. It was eventually reborn, grew larger and evolved, becoming home to the world's busiest airport and an increasingly international population. It ranks as one of the most religious places in the United States, so imagine the fear and outrage when one day an internet fan discovered what looked like a giant face of Satan using Google Earth in the woodlands near the famous city. Beelzebub's portrait has been spotted in famous paintings, sewage treatment pools, internet forum posts, and other random places, but never before in a satellite image. People quickly modified the terrain, literally erasing this face from the Earth itself. And number 1 is the pentagram of Kazakhstan. Some perceive the pentagram as a symbol of the occult, and it's still widely used during magic practices and ceremonies. It can be found in the official logo of the Church of Satan, where it encloses the head of a goat. Keeping this in mind, it's a bit troubling to know that a giant inverted pentagram with a diameter of over 360 meters is easily spotted when taking an aerial view of a field in Kazakhstan, about 19 kilometers west of Lyoskovik. Was it the scene of some ancient grand ritual or ceremony? It turns out it's actually the outline of a park created not so long ago, back in the days of the Soviet Union, which has long since been abandoned. According to archaeologist Emma Usmanova, the Soviets commonly used the shape as decoration. But is it simply a decoration, or is it something much more sinister? I'll leave that up to you to decide. Number 10 is Proxima Centauri b. Proxima Centauri b is an exoplanet discovered in August of 2016 that orbits the habitable zone of a red dwarf star named Proxima Centauri. At just 4.2 light years away, it's one of our closest celestial neighbors that has the potential for survivable living conditions and liquid water. It's actually 30% bigger than Earth and fully orbits the sun in just 11 days, something that Earth only achieves every 365 days. So in other words, you'll be having birthday parties a lot more often. The only downside is that the dwarf sun that shines on the planet from 5 million miles away only gives off 2% of the light that we receive on Earth. This means that daytime there would look a lot like twilight or dusk here. It's uncertain whether or not it would be completely suitable for settlement because it has a lot of different issues, like solar winds that are 2,000 times stronger than those on Earth. And we also don't know exactly what its atmosphere is made out of, but once we figure it out, it could very well be the next Earth. Number 9 is Kepler-62f. Kepler-62f, discovered on April 18, 2013, is a super-Earth-type exoplanet that lives in the habitable zone of a 7-billion-year-old star that is 1,200 light-years away. 62f is thought to be either a rocky planet like Earth or a water world covered by oceans. In either case, it's a great candidate for alien life and feasible for hosting human life should we ever be able to manage the trip there. It makes a full orbit around its sun every 267 days, and its sun gives it 41% of the sunlight that we receive here on Earth. However, the planet might be tidally locked in orbit, meaning that one side is always facing the sun while the other side is always dark. This obviously causes extreme temperatures on either side and narrows the area for life to survive down to the border between light and dark, where the temperature sits in a comfortable middle ground. At this point, we really don't know 100% for sure, but it's definitely a cool candidate planet. Number 8 is Kepler-186f. Discovered on April 17, 2014 by the Kepler Space Observatory, Kepler-186f is an exoplanet that orbits near the outer rim of its sun's habitable zone, where it isn't too hot or too cold for life to be sustained. This rocky terrain planet is nearly 10% bigger than Earth and lives in the Kepler-186 system, which is roughly 500 light years away from us. Better start building some long-haul rockets. It completes one full orbit around the sun in 130 days and only receives 33% of the light that our Earth normally gets from our sun, meaning its brightest hours kind of look like the hour before sunset on Earth. But hey, if you can get past the low levels of light, this could be a pretty swell planet to potentially live on. But the planet's orbit does place it in the risk zone for being tidally locked, with odds being about 50-50 that one side could be constantly in contact with the sun, so bring some shades and some shorts. And sunscreen. Sunscreen's important, people. Number 7 is Kepler-452b. Discovered on July 23, 2015, Kepler-452b is an exoplanet known as a super-Earth, since it has around 5 times the mass of our humble little rock here in space. Its sun would appear very similar to how ours appears on Earth, and it completes a full orbit after 385 days, which is also quite similar to us. Since 452b is larger, it also has twice the gravity that we have here on Earth and receives more sun energy, making it hotter than Earth, but the potential for life and settlement is high if we are ever able to manage to get to it. The Kepler-452 system is 1,400 light years away, and it would take a ship traveling at about 37,000 miles per hour 26 million years to arrive, making cryogenic sleep a mandatory requirement for this journey. If you've ever wanted to be frozen, this is your chance. Since the planet mirrors Earth so closely but on a larger scale and with more heat energy, it's susceptible to the greenhouse effect, so it could actually become a giant ball of hot death by the time we get there. Well, that one's definitely going to take some planning. Let's be careful on that. Number 6 is Gliese 667cc. Discovered in 2011, this exoplanet lives 23.6 light years away in the habitable zone of a system that has 3 suns. The planet only orbits the smallest star in the Gliese 667 system, known as the C, while its companions are known as A and B. 667cc is a super-Earth with around 4 times the mass that Earth has and a year that lasts only 28 days. And you thought you didn't have enough hours in the day on Earth. The red dwarf star it orbits lies 11.5 million miles away, which is actually pretty close, and appears 3 times bigger in the sky than our sun does. But interestingly, only gives off 20% of the light that our sun gives us, giving the planet's daytime a permanent late afternoon feeling. The other 2 suns in the system are distant from the planet, but they still appear as 2 bright spots in the sky. They're kind of like 2 little permanent nightlights. This planet's orbit distance places its surface temperature at around 86 degrees Fahrenheit, increasing its chances of harboring liquid water. Number 5 is Kepler-22b. Kepler-22b is an exoplanet that orbits in the inner edge of the Sun's habitable zone, 600 light-years away from us. Discovered in December of 2011, Kepler-22b is twice the size of Earth and has a year of 290 days with a possible average temperature of only around 12.2 degrees Fahrenheit. But while it's reasonable for humanity to survive here, it won't be a similar experience to Earth. 22b's outer shell is likely to be composed mostly of either liquid or gas, and the most optimistic estimate is that its liquid water combined with the greenhouse affected atmosphere likely keeps the planet at a nice 71.6 degrees Fahrenheit. So this would be a prime contender for our next home world should we have the technology to travel there. Even if the estimates are off, this planet's extreme conditions still make it habitable for a lot of possible alien life that may have evolved in the outer liquid layer. Aliens, people, aliens. Number 4 is Gliese 832c. Gliese 832c is the 4th closest habitable exoplanet to Earth, at just 16 light-years away in the red dwarf system of Gliese 832. The planet is another super-Earth, with 5.2 times the mass of our planet and orbits the inner edge of its star's habitable zone, completing a year in just 36 days. It might be huge, but it moves fast around that sun. It's expected to have temperatures that are fairly similar to ours on Earth, but due to its size, the seasonal changes would be fairly extreme during its rotations. A common theme among many super-Earths is that their atmospheres can become heavy enough to cause extreme greenhouse effects, trapping their sun's heat inside and cranking up the temperatures to life-killing levels. Alternatively, due to its close orbit with the sun, it could be tidally locked. That being said, if all is well on 832c, it will definitely be on our shortlist for places to run to if Earth fails. And let's be honest, a lot of you probably don't recycle, so you know, them greenhouse gases is just building up. Number 3 is Gliese 581g. Gliese 581g, also known as Zarmina, is a yet-to-be-confirmed exoplanet discovered on September 29, 2010. It closely orbits the Gliese 581 red dwarf star, a mere 20 light-years away from Earth. The bad news for this somewhat close option to Earth is that it's tidally locked with the sun, but if a strong atmosphere exists on the planet, it could circulate the heat from the sunny side over to the dark side, making it much more habitable. Gliese 581g is about 1.5 times the size of Earth and is thought to have temperatures between -35 and 10 degrees Fahrenheit due to the weaker energy output from its small sun. But who cares if it's small, man? It's still trying. The astronomer who discovered it, Stephen Vogt, believes that the chances of finding life on this planet are 100%, which is an extremely optimistic presumption. With 581g being relatively close, we may get to see if his hypothesis is correct someday, and better yet, we may actually get to visit it. Number 2 is TRAPPIST-1e. And this one gets the award for the coolest name. Discovered on February 22nd, 2017, TRAPPIST-1e is a rocky exoplanet in the habitable zone of the ultra-cool red dwarf called TRAPPIST-1. The planet is 40 light-years away from us and has many impressive qualities, like 74% of our gravity, a very similar size to Earth, a temperature of -7 degrees Fahrenheit, and a high chance of liquid water on its surface. Since the TRAPPIST-1 sun is so small, 1e can orbit it in just 6 days, and it's so energy efficient, it could last 500 times longer than our current sun. In fact, it could possibly outlive many of the stars in our universe. Besides the positives, TRAPPIST-1e does have issues with tidal locking, meaning that the only habitable areas on the planet's surface would be along something called the Terminator line. Besides just being an amazing term, it's actually where the light meets the dark and creates a somewhat stable temperature balance. But what's kind of strange is even if we all have to live on that thin line between light and dark, it's still one of our best options at the moment. And number 1 is Mars. Okay, you knew this one was number 1. With such limited time and limited technology to find a suitable home, it's best to look next door. Mars could very well be the next permanent home for humanity, and we may be able to see it happen in our lifetime. The red planet could make a great candidate for life, with its ancient water-rich soil, a healthy amount of sunlight, and a similar day length that is only 40 minutes longer than ours. The gravity there is much weaker, only 38% of ours, but is still within the acceptable ranges for us to survive and adapt. If we are able to successfully terraform Mars, its thin atmosphere that already protects the planet from the sun's radiation could hold oxygen and become breathable. Companies like SpaceX are currently training teams of astronaut settlers for colonizing Mars, with the first group blasting off in 2031. We could literally see homes on Mars in our very near future. Number 10 is the sun's twin star. It's possible that our own sun has a dark twin. Referred to as Nemesis, this star could be orbiting our own solar system. Most star systems are what is known as binary. This simply means that there are two stars at the center of a star system orbiting each other instead of one. Because of some strange gravitational anomalies in our outer solar system, it's been hypothesized that our own sun may also have a dark star twin, which is either a brown or red dwarf. Matt, that's offensive. They prefer to be known as little stars. These objects haven't quite reached the mass to spark fusion reactions like main sequence stars, so they remain relatively cool and give off little light. Interestingly, one theory suggests that extinction events on Earth happen at regular intervals. It's possible that the Nemesis star comes close to Earth every 26 million years or so and wipes out much of the life here. Number 9 is the holographic universe. Some physicists believe that our entire universe is a hologram. This theory states that one of the best ways to describe the universe is to think of it as a two-dimensional image projected onto something beneath it. In this way, the universe can be thought of as a holograph displayed on a cosmological structure, kind of like a cinema screen. Though it sounds like science fiction, the holographic principle is supported by the fact that the equations used to describe the universe as a hologram can also be used to solve some theoretical issues with black holes. So when we experience the universe as 3 dimensions, it could be that we are always just part of a holographic projection, and that the true nature of reality, the projector, is buried somewhere out of sight. In this way, we never get to see what reality truly is at its base level. Number 8 is the asteroid belt's planet origin. Our solar system is home to a massive asteroid belt, which surrounds the sun between Mars and Jupiter. There are many theories as to how this huge collection of orbiting rocks came to be, but one is that many, if not all of the asteroids, are actually the remaining debris of a destroyed planet.
Yes, this theory is absolutely correct.
Now, it's true that this theory has fallen out of favor in recent years, but now physicists believe the asteroid belt is made out of rock structures known as planetesimals, which never quite reached a big enough mass to form a new planet in the first place. But there are still some who believe there was another planet orbiting between Mars and Jupiter at some point in the past. This planet was then destroyed either by a massive impact or by some gravitational process, and what we see today in the asteroid field is effectively that planet's grave. Death Star! I got a cough. Number 7 are colliding universes. A current idea in theoretical physics is that our universe is just one of many universes. While this theory is popular, there's not a lot of empirical evidence for it. I mean, after all, how do you observe something outside of the universe that you're in? But there is some tantalizing information in our own universe which suggests at some point in the past, it may have collided with one of these other universes. For me, that's exactly what the Mandela effect is. If you don't know what that is, look it up. It'll cause you some sleepless nights. In 2015, astronomers found a large cold spot in the structure of the cosmos, and some physicists have since hypothesized that it's the direct result of another universe bumping into our own. Others hypothesize that our universe itself was created when 2 parent universes smashed into each other, creating the Big Bang. 2 parents, Big Bang. There's a dirty joke there. Anyway, from this perspective, it could be that our very existence relied upon the destruction of another civilization's reality. Number 6 is repeating Earths. One theory proposed by astrophysicists is that there are other exact copies of our planet somewhere else in the universe. This alternative to the multiverse theory of universes states that our own universe continues far past what we've observed so far, and may even be infinite. Many physicists believe that these other regions of our universe, which we can't see yet because of the distance, contains other galaxies like our own. If our universe is indeed infinite, then it's likely that every possibility plays out an infinite number of times. This means that there's an infinite number of Earths, and therefore an infinite number of Matt Santoros. Just let that sink in. There's a whole lot of baldness out there in every universe, so enjoy. Number 5 is relative time. Albert Einstein proposed his theory of general relativity in 1915, and one strange quirk of it suggests that time can move at different rates depending on your location, your speed, and your mass. It's difficult to wrap your head around the fact that time is relative and not the same for everyone, but this is perfectly illustrated by what's known as the twin paradox. Imagine two twin sisters. One of them lives on Earth while the other takes a return trip away from our planet close to the speed of light. By the time the space-traveling twin returns to Earth, she's only aged a couple of years. But for the twin who remained on our planet, time traveled much faster. In fact, she's aged more than 10 years. This is known as time dilation and has even been proven in experiments. So there you go, the cure to aging, just travel around the planet at light speed. It might rip your body and your existence apart, but you won't age. Number 4 is consciousness creates the cosmos. That's right, you think you're watching a bald man with big teeth right now give you facts, but are you? You are, because you're imagining it. A controversial theory to explain how the universe began is that consciousness came first and actually helped produce the universe we see today. Some physicists believe that at a fundamental level, reality is not well defined. In fact, all subatomic particles are in what's known as superposition. This means that each particle is in all possible locations at the same time, and that only when a conscious being observes that particle does it snap into one specific place. From this, some have suggested that reality itself does not exist as we know it without a conscious observer. In other words, you. It's possible then that as we stare through a telescope farther and farther back to the beginning of the known universe, that we're not just bringing the stars and galaxies into focus, but actually bringing them into existence itself. Number 3 is cosmic genocide. There are several potential theories as to why we haven't found evidence for alien civilizations yet, but the most frightening is that genocide on a galactic scale is taking place. Given that Earth is not really a special planet and that other similar planets revolve around similar suns and should possess all the necessary ingredients for life, the universe should be teeming with other civilizations. Some believe that the reason no other civilizations have been found so far is that they have either been wiped out or are keeping a low profile. This may be because an ancient alien race or technology is systematically wiping out any other intelligent civilization it finds. Maybe that's why we haven't been wiped out yet. They looked at Earth and was like, oh, we don't have to worry about intelligence there. It's easy then to understand why physicists such as Stephen Hawking believe that we too should keep ourselves hidden. After all, you never know who's watching. Number 2 is evolving universes. Evolution may not just describe how life evolves, but how universes themselves are born. The accepted mechanism for evolution is known as natural selection, where only surviving animals are able to pass on their genetic traits to their children. In other words, survival of the fittest. One theory suggests that in a similar way, at the center of a black hole, another universe is created from its infinite gravity. Furthermore, such a new universe may possess all of the characteristics of our own, plus some random mutations or differences along the way. The universe then may develop its own black holes, which again carry on the family traits of our own universe. In this way, reality can be seen as an interconnected family tree of universes. Who knows how many universes it took to birth our own? And number 1 is our warped universe. Our common idea of the universe is that it's spherical in shape and expanding at an ever-growing rate. However, one theory challenges that idea and states that the universe may be packed into a much smaller space than it seems. Developed by Professor Frank Steiner, this model of the universe uses precise mathematical calculations to explain why there is an unevenness in the fabric of our reality. Instead of expanding ever out from this view, space bends back in on itself. So the vast distances which we see in space are warped and folded to fit in a smaller area. If we were then to fly to the edges of space, instead of meeting a boundary, we would find ourselves flying back towards our original point of origin as the universe curves back in on itself. Number 10 is a tool bag. Just because there's no gravity in space doesn't mean you can't drop something. Just ask Captain Hyde Stephanician Piper, who happened to drop something pretty expensive while out on a spacewalk outside of the International Space Station. On November 18, 2008, a NASA astronaut was outside of the station attempting to repair a solar array when she found that a grease gun had leaked inside of her tool bag. While trying to clean out the bag, which is obviously quite difficult in zero gravity, she lost her grip on it. The bag and its contents, which weighed around 14 kilograms and was worth around $100,000, just gone. A number of amateur astronomers reported spotting the bag in orbit before it burned up in August of 2009 in the atmosphere nearly a year late. Oops, nothing like $100,000 Butterfingers. Number 9 is human waste. Yep, here it comes, the poopies! Though it might seem disgusting to consider, many astronauts have reported that watching their waste float off into space is one of the most beautiful things they've ever seen off-planet. Definitely off-planet, because on-planet poo-poo is While astronomers resort to wearing a fancy space version of an adult diaper during liftoff and re-entry, when in orbit they have a special facility that allows them to jettison their waste into the dark beyond. Of course, with the 2.7 degrees Kelvin temperature in space, urine freezes instantly into crystals that enter a similar orbit, basically becoming debris or being vaporized as it enters our planet's atmosphere. Of course, today, the International Space Station has a filtration system which turns urine into drinkable water, reducing the amount of frozen urine crystals that are gonna float around Earth. Happy birthday, Timmy! Here's your telescope! Wow, thanks, Mom! What do you see? Poop? Number 8 is a spacesuit. On February 3rd, 2006, an expired Orlan spacesuit was released from the International Space Station, the source of many off things that have entered the Earth's orbit. An experiment concocted by some Russian scientists in the ISS program, led by Sergei Sambarov, the SuitSat-1 was outfitted with sensors that had a radio transmitter mounted to the helmet that transmitted telemetry data and voice recordings in multiple languages. The public was encouraged to tune into the frequency to hear messages from the floating spacesuit from some of the team members behind it and students from multiple countries. But after only 2 rotations, SuitSat, which by then was also known as Mr. Smith or Ivan Ivanovich, stopped broadcasting due to its batteries dying. Really? We're going to release $1 million suit into space and we can't put some AA batteries in that thing that'll last? Science, step it up! Number 7 is a spatula. Who wants some eggies? Oh, they're floating away. If you ever find yourself barbecuing in Earth's orbit and need a spatula, just wait a bit, and one might just make its way around you. On July 12, 2006, astronaut Piers Sellers was working with some heat tile putty during a spacewalk when he lost a tool. Sellers and his fellow crew members on board the Discovery STS-121 shuttle were tasked with testing in-orbit repairs when Piers' spatula floated away. Apparently, he was quite upset about losing the utensil and claimed it was his favorite one. But sadly, it's no longer floating around up there, as scientists apparently have nothing better to do than check if a spatula is in space and have verified that it burned up upon re-entering the atmosphere. Okay, John, time to check on the astronauts' oxygen levels. Yeah, not right now, Tim, I'm watching the spatula. Number 6 is the Colbert treadmill. With no gravity, it's hard to exercise in space. So how do astronauts do it? Well, if they're on the International Space Station, they can use the Colbert treadmill. Yes, named after that Stephen Colbert, the late-night comedian, the combined operational load-bearing external resistance treadmill uses harnesses and straps to keep the runner in place so that they don't float away. Colbert had called on his audience during an online NASA contest to name one of the nodes on the ISS, asking them to write in votes to dub it Colbert. The space agency declined to do so, opting to name the exercise machine after him instead. I would say, how dare you not name a node after Stephen Colbert? He's a national treasure! But then again, I don't even know what a node is, so a treadmill sounds better, I guess. Number 5 is a Buzz Lightyear toy. To infinity and beyond is a popular catchphrase of Buzz Lightyear, a character from Disney and Pixar's animated film Toy Story. The line, of course, is a fan favorite, and never before was it more true than on May 31st, 2008, when a Buzz Lightyear toy was sent to the great beyond. The action figure was sent via crew shuttle to the International Space Station, where it spent 15 months orbiting the Earth in a joint venture to promote the new educational partnership between NASA and the Walt Disney Company. Yeah, that makes sense. A toy's probably better than a mouse. Can't breathe! During its 468-day mission, the figure was documented in photos and video with fellow crew members. Treated like a real hero once it returned back to Earth, multiple press conferences and even a ticker tape parade at the Magic Kingdom were held in its honor, and it was later donated to the Smithsonian. Number 4 are human remains. Yep, nothing like using a billion-dollar spaceship to send out dead corpse powder. For those we've lost that were truly out of this world, there are some incredible memorial services, including one where a person's remains can literally be out of this world. Celestis, a Houston, Texas-based company, offers a service called Space Funeral Flights, in which the cremated remains of a loved one are launched into space on board a rocket. These memorial space flights have stayed in orbit anywhere from a couple of hours to years, and some of them even landed on the moon. In fact, the remains of Gene Roddenberry, the creator of the Star Trek universe, were on board the inaugural flight in 1997. Since then, several actors, government officials, and even some NASA scientists have had their ashes sent into space. Number 3 is pizza. Okay, this one does make sense. We should be sending humanity's most delicious treat into space. It turns out that even the crew on board the International Space Station can order a pizza if they get hungry. It just takes a lot longer than 30 minutes to arrive. In the spring of 2001, Pizza Hut made a $1 million deal with the Russian space program to send a pizza to cosmonaut Yuri Usachov, who was serving on the ISS. The items, which were vacuum sealed, arrived on a resupply rocket and included a crispy personal-sized crust, sauce, cheese, and salami, which replaced pepperoni due to the more traditional topping growing mold during tests. Unfortunately, American astronauts on the station were ordered not to have any of the pizza due to NASA's strict ban on advertising. Man, NASA is savage. These people went literally above and beyond for Earth's space research, and you can't even give them a bite of za? How dare you? Number 2 are Playboy pictures. On November 19, 1968, Apollo 12 successfully landed on the moon for the second time in history. NASA astronauts Charles Pete Conrad and Alan Bean made a trip to the lunar surface while Richard Gordon stayed in orbit. Prior to takeoff, the mission's backup crew, led by David Scott, set up a few pranks for the astronauts. Oh, and it wasn't a whoopee cushion, it was nasty. In charge of creating the crew's handy wrist checklist, a type of cheat sheet to remind them of tasks, the backup crew added images taken from Playboy magazine. Turns out that wouldn't be the last time they saw such images in orbit. It gets a little lonely out there, you know what I'm saying? And number 1 is the Tesla Roadster. One of the craziest and coolest things to ever orbit our wonderful planet just so happens to be the most recent thing to get there. And that cool thing is a red 2008 Tesla Roadster that's being driven by a dummy in a spacesuit. Yep. Launched on February 6, 2018, the payload in the capsule of a Falcon Heavy rocket, the most powerful rocket in operation, the car was sent up by business magnate Elon Musk. His company SpaceX was testing their new rocket and trying to place the vehicle in an elliptical orbit between the Earth and Mars, the red planet that the billionaire wants to colonize. The Tesla car even has a sticker on the dash which reads "Don't Panic," a reference to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and is blaring David Bowie's 1971 song Life on Mars on a loop.